The following program deals with a controversial
subject.
The theories expressed are not the only possible interpretation.
The viewer is invited to make a judgment based on all available information.
The top talents in the comic book business are here to tell everything they know.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Industry of Comics show, episode 73, where coming up next week, we have San Diego Comic-Con right around the corner, where we'll be joined tonight by Chris Rupp from Rupp's Comics to talk about what he's doing to get ready for San Diego Comic-Con. He's been a vendor, a retailer for 25 years almost at San Diego, and he is in the middle of shipping stuff out there right now, and we were lucky enough to get him for an hour or so to bring on later in the show. And then after him, or before him, the next biggest Comic-Con following San Diego in October, New York Comic-Con coming up. We have Alex from ReedPop joining us. But before we do that, I want to ask, I know Jesse hasn't seen it, so, we'll give him a pass until he sees it. But no spoilers. I want to ask Dennis and Emmet, what did you guys think of Superman?
Fantastic. Awesome. Great storytelling. Like, it felt like comic book storytelling.
Dennis?
It was enjoyable. I'm not going to go so far as to put the word great on it. It has a lot of issues as far as just a narrative movie goes. I loved almost everything about the movie in its separate parts. But when you assemble that the way they assembled this movie, I think there's something lost in that shuffling of everything. I'm going to do a whole video on this, but I'll give you the brief synopsis of what really stuck in my craw and kept me from loving this movie. Ma and Pa Kent are two of the most important characters in the Superman's origin, the Superman story. And I'll get a little deeper for this, but I'm going to go way in depth. This was written by two Jewish men who did a Moses parable in 1938. They wanted to tell an alien Moses story. And almost as important to Moses's origin is who finds him and how he was raised. Then you could cut to Superman 78. You can cut to even Bryan Singer, even especially Zack Snyder. It's a Jesus story at that point. It's about who raised him and how he was raised. I don't think you get a legitimate Superman from just saying, oh yeah, Ma's kind of a hick and it doesn't know a whole lot, and Dad just gets gushy every time he talks about this kid. I didn't get that, why his parents raising him made him who this Superman is. And I think that's important. I don't need to see the origin. I don't know, but I need more than they're just two country bumpkins that found a kid and raised him and set him loose on the world.
So I will say that I think it was a 10 or a 9.9, as I'll say. I think there was one thing that kind of stuck in my craw just a little bit. But I'm going to give it a 9.9. I went and saw it with my dad, and I'm just the opposite of Dennis. I thought it was absolutely excellent the way they did his origin. We don't need to see Superman's origin again. I love the way they started it. It went straight to the action. You didn't have to sit through explanation. And I thought the few moments we had with his parents, especially his dad, Pa Kent, there was a moment there where sitting next to my dad in the theater, I kind of had to put my arm around him and kind of, say, hey, I love you, Dad. You know what I mean? That type of thing. It was very, very special. And I think it was probably the best hero movie that I've seen in 10 years. Absolutely excellent. So I think all of us would suggest that you at least go and see it. It's worth seeing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I will say this as a lifelong Guy Gardner fan. Nathan Fillion 9.5 out of 10. That hair was just a hair off for me. There's a difference between a Mo and a Guy. Okay. And I think he had a Mo Howard and not a Guy Gardner. But the tank scene at the end was
Fantastic.
110% Guy Gardner.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone in the comic books got Guy Gardner as perfect as that scene was for Guy Gardner.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to say I did participate in Superman. I did attempt to watch Superman 2, my very first superhero movie. I did make it to 31 minutes and 50 seconds, and then I kind of had to turn it off. So I did participate. That's my participation for the Superman movie part. There you go.
There you go, you guys. So it was very, very good, and yeah, definitely go check it out. It's definitely worth seeing. So, all right. So before we get too crazy into the weeds tonight, I want to say one thing. I'm going to hit on this a couple of times throughout the night. We had a couple of great episodes on the Wednesday night show over the last couple weeks. And big shout out to Big Clutch, Big Leg, Suspiria, and Sveta Shubina as for just making those shows amazing. What I do want to say is that on last Wednesday's show? Yeah, last Wednesday's show, we were lucky enough to drop links in the chat for live viewers to give the Beyond Wednesday's viewers and community members a chance to get some San Diego Comic-Con exclusives that they wouldn't be able to get if they weren't going to San Diego. And shout out to Sveta Shubina and Adam from Comic Boards Inc. and for doing that. There was a big response from fans and viewers on all the shows, all my social media, asking, please, if you can you give us another opportunity to get at some of the books? Because a lot of people, there's only a few that we can offer for these things. Some of these print runs on these books are 500 or less, and you got to keep a big chunk for San Diego because that's what they're for. But I want to give a big shout out to Sveta, Adam, and Michael at Massive. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up, they are going to be offering, for a short period of time, a pre-sale on the 18th that I will, give you guys more information about, to get some extra special goodies for those who didn't get books on Wednesday and who aren't going to be able to make it to San Diego. This is 100% in response to all of you guys, Beyond Wednesday's fans, and, how awesome that episode was. Michael and Adam hit me up and said, hey, we really want to do something for everybody that didn't get a chance to get those books, and we're going to offer a couple of the other books we're going to have. These are the special variants that are going to be available at the Massive booth, and so they're going to offer some of those 20 sets, okay? 20 of each book are going to be available for pre-order, so you got to be quick on the draw. We'll give you more information tomorrow night. Come hang out with us tomorrow night, because tomorrow night we will also have, hold on here, this book right here. Look at this, you guys. Shout out to Big Clutch, an amazing speed racer cover by Pete Carroll, The Art of Carroll over in the UK. There will also be a link dropped for this. This is another small print run San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, and we're going to also drop a link tomorrow night for a small amount of people to get a chance at picking one of these up. So make sure you guys watch every live show on Beyond Wednesdays. If you don't like the content, there's always a good reason to watch. You might not like, some of the content. We'll find a good reason for you guys to watch, and we really got to say thank you to everybody that's helped support this channel and help grow this channel.
And also, just to help more people watch it, I'm rarely on Wednesdays.
Yes.
It has to be really, really rare if I come on the Wednesday show.
Yes.
So it's Dennis free for the most part.
All right, you guys, let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Ray from ReedPop joins us. Alex, how you doing, brother?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Good to have you, man. Nice to meet you. It's my first time meeting you. Give us a little background on yourself. Yeah, hopefully not, right?
Yeah.
Give us a little background on yourself.
I've been around in the background for a little while. I started my comic journey at Midtown. I was at Midtown Comics for I want to say 8 years. I was their back issue buyer and manager. That's where I met Dennis. I bought some wonderful comics from him. And then I kind of bounced around. I was at Wizard World for a little while. I was working their Artist Alley. I worked for Valiant as a sales manager, so I was doing conventions for them. And then I was at Ace Universe before the pandemic. Rest in peace. And now I am with ReedPop, and I've been with them since 2021, towards the end of 21, when they started doing their conventions again. I've been running their Artist Alley.
And so basically, if you're not a comic book store owner, you bounce just like everybody else. That is what you just said didn't surprise any of us, because that's the way it works. You keep on evolving, keep on pivoting till you find your home.
And I also co-own a store in Long Island City, Queens, with my partner. So I have a shop as well.
Yeah.
What's the name of your shop?
Everyone Comics.
Everyone Comics. There we go.
Shout out. Long Island City, Queens.
Were you on that reality show that they made about Midtown? Can you talk about that?
I was. I was on a little known show called Comic Store Heroes. It literally, the pilot aired the weekend of San Diego Comic-Con, so nobody saw it. But yeah, it was essentially a documentary about Midtown kind of making their way to New York Comic-Con and how they do it, and
you had to find
reality
TV. You had to find a hot little devil for a customer, and the hunt was on at New York Comic-Con.
The hunt was on. That's it.
Dude, I love that. That was
it was good. It was fun.
It was a good example to the normies of what we do.
Yeah.
And I
it
just
was positive. That was one of the other things that we
totally positive.
We super pushed up positivity. Anybody can come into the comic store. It's for everybody, et cetera, et cetera. It wasn't.
Yeah, it was a shame they didn't know where to focus their effort on that show.
Yeah, National Geographic bought it. We were hopeful, and they thought it would be a good idea, to run it the weekend of San Diego, where nobody's watching TV at all. But yeah, it was fun. Yeah. It was a fun thing.
Yeah,
to do.
and the time to make one of those for 1 hour is 2 days, 3 days. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That
took a year to film. You can see my beard goes down and up, coming back and stuff. It's wild. Watching it, you're like, oh yeah. There's a scene where I'm buying stuff in the store and I'm sick, and I'm just like, I remember I was just chugging Dayquil. But yeah, it took longer than an hour should have taken. But
yeah. Well, once you become a gray beard, you don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, it's coming. The white's coming. I'm going to do some Santa Clausing in a few years on the side. A little side hustle.
It pays really well.
Yeah. I know. It's
like $300 an hour.
A year.
Wow.
Done.
Hold on. Wait, go back to this 300. Fuck the comic books. I'm just going to be the Santa at the mall. That's going to be.
I'm always side hustles. You got to you have to have one. That's the one.
So tell us. So let me just, Bryan, if I could just introduce Alex for what I wanted to bring him on.
Yeah.
So if you remember, about 2 months ago, in the period of time where Jesse and I were like, dude, Diamond's going to go from 11 to 7, and this thing is going to go south faster than you can believe. It still went south. But in the middle of that, I said, who the F is going to step up and lead the industry from the retailer and the publisher? And I brought up one instance, which was ReedPop hosted a satellite event where it put publishers with retailers during COVID. And I said on that show, this was one of the best things I had seen during that COVID instability. And then lo and behold, this guy over here was watching the show, and he's like, hey, Dennis, I'm doing this whole retailer track at New York Comic-Con. And I said, well, you got to come on the show.
Yeah. Explain this a little bit, because this is very interesting.
Yeah, so I've been with ReedPop for, I think this is my 4th show cycle. They did a New York Comic Con, Emerald City, and C2E2 in the winter 3 years ago, and I've kind of been there since. But when I came on, I've kind of been around everywhere, retailer, sales, whatever. And New York Comic Con, I was at the very first New York Comic Con. I was working at Midtown, baby boy. That's my show, right? Like I've been around that show for a long time. And for them not to have a retailer thing kind of just caught me off guard. And they were able to, they give passes out. They're nice, but there was never really a big push to have it. And everybody's there. All the creators. I mean, the only reason a creator's not at the show is probably because they're sick. Even if they're not in Artist Alley, they're at the show. All the publishers are there, even if they don't have a booth. Everybody's there. And I just was like, but the retailers are kind of missing. Like this is a good opportunity to get people together. Everybody's already in the same room. So 2 years ago, we tried to do it on Thursday. It was super successful, but the feedback I was getting from a lot of retailers were, hey, I'm only here for the Thursday for the retailer stuff. I didn't get to see the show floor, or and that's the free badge, and they weren't staying. So there was kind of some complaints of just there's too much to do and not enough time. So we moved it last year to Wednesday, which I know is new release day, and it's kind of a pain in the butt, but it gave us an opportunity to have a full day of stuff for retailers to do and enjoy 4 days of New York Comic Con. So, it was super successful last year. We had 250 retailers sign up, and we gave everybody 2 badges. Now, there wasn't 560 people in the room, but they were throughout the day. The day was full. People were coming in and out. We kind of do it like the old Diamond Summits or like a Comics Pro, but lighter. We don't have people going up reading Previews magazine for that month. It's very quick. Right. We want people to be interacting. Last year we had Todd McFarlane, who's coming back this year. He didn't present anything. He just open mic'd, walked around the room, and was just answering questions for retailers.
That's cool.
That's what we want, and that's kind of what we're pushing for. Like Comics Pros in the beginning of the year, we're at the end of the year. We can all look in a previews catalog. Well, not anymore. Rest in peace. But we can always look at previews or whatever's out there to see what's coming out. But what are the publishers excited for? Lunar had their last year they did their one big thing. Right. So yeah. It's not tell us the 5 books that you got. Tell us what's the biggest thing you're excited for right now. And yeah, so now we're doing again.
I'm sorry. How are retailers getting the free badges?
So New York Comic Con, if you sign up at the pro registration page, Thursday badges are free automatically. So if you just want a Thursday badge, you get it for free, which includes the Wednesday. I believe 4 days charged are about $145 for 4 days. But all retailers, if you're a brick and mortar or a larger online store, we don't really, we're not pushing people out the door, but we'll pre-approve you. So all you have to do is go into the New York Comic Con website and, fill out the pro registration form. And I see those. So, and if anybody has any problems with that, send me an email. It's alex.ray@ReedPop. I'll hook you up. I'll get you in.
Awesome.
So I just wanted to base this on what you just said. So it's for actual brick and mortars.
Yes.
And large what? When you said sellers, what type of sellers?
Oh, online. We do have some online sellers. I'm trying to think of a couple of them. But no, I mean, it's mostly brick and mortars. We mostly have brick and mortar stores.
Okay. But you said
we're not saying no to any, if someone sends in a thing and they have a pretty big following, I'm trying to think of like a website. Let's say Midtown Comic Stores.
Economics and Comics, Billy's spot.
Correct. Yeah.
But you had said something that you also have a track about helping people become retailers, right?
Yeah. I mean, we work with Comics Pro to kind of push people into that. There's programming usually during the weekend that is like, do you want to be a comics retailer? One of the main things that I've been pushing for this is, again, it's not getting retailers in a room to get, the new catalog read to them. It's people talking to each other. So there's a lot of time for people talking to each other. One of the things we do is instead of having like a separate hall for publishers, that image you saw was the round tables, and then around them are publishers, and they're just there. So during the day, you can go in and out. You can go up to, Mad Cave was there if you want to talk to Mad Cave. Sometimes a retailer doesn't need to talk to Mad Cave, so there's no point to putting people in tables and making them go to each publisher,
Right.
make it pretty open, make it nice. We had exclusives all day long. We did New York Comic Con gave out some notebooks, and we did an exclusive for Marvel. James Tynan, Something's Killing Department of Truth. We had an exclusive just for retailers. Todd McFarlane brought a Spawn Retailers King comic, and I think they're still like $600-700. Mine says to Alex. So if there's any Alexes out there that would like a signed Spawn Retailers King, no, I'm kidding. That's my PC. But yeah, there, it's again, I'm just going back to like me. Like I remember going as Midtown to the retailer summits, and they were really good when people were talking to each other. And I think like the BarCon's awesome, but a lot of people don't want to be in that situation scenario. So I just want to get more people in the room just talking to each other and hanging out. And yeah, I mean, that's where the Zdarsky news came from last year. Adam Freeman was at a table. Chip walked by and he said something about Wizard. And he was like, Adam's like, let's just make it. And they made it. So that's what I want to push up and give people.
Yeah. That it's funny you talk about that McFarlane book. We just reported on one of those books on the House of Stein Hot 10 the other night. An unsigned one sold for some ridiculous number, like $600 raw or something like that. So it's always advantageous for retailers to go to those events. You know what I mean?
I wonder if
that's the whole point. We want to make it there. We want to make it. It's going to spend money. Like, yeah, you can write off the trip, but there's a whole point of going to these things is to, come back with stuff. And, if you're a retailer, for me, example, like when I go to shows now, I'm collecting stuff that I send back to my shop as soon as I get home. And like, I'm just walking around. Oh, that's a couple $10 variants here. That's $30 in the shop. I know a customer that wants that. I know a customer that wants that. So
I wonder if, and I know most people don't participate in this, but I'm just thinking out loud. I wonder if Diamond in the Bankruptcy sold Best Practice Award, or if that would be open to the public to represent that award. I mean, it's too late this year, but something like that next year.
We definitely talked about it. One of the things that I would love to do as an award is just like an industry award for best person doing something for the industry. Like it could be a sales manager coming up with cool ideas. It could be, somebody doing a Kickstarter that is doing something huge, stuff like that. The future is very open.
Shout out to Kyle Rice for the 1999 super sticker. We'll replay that one more time. Alex, don't worry. This is our super sticker announcement.
Yeah. It wasn't Dennis.
Yeah, it wasn't Dennis.
Love it.
Go ahead.
No, the thing is so it was mentioned that it's kind of self-serving that at a certain point when Diamond was doing this, but at least they had everybody. And then somebody was like, well, why doesn't Marvel do something like this? Well, because then it would only be Marvel.
Right.
And you wouldn't get that parody of Marvel and DC both presenting. Then Lunar, it's like, well, why doesn't Lunar do this? And for me, Comics Pro serves its purpose, but it's not, I don't think Comics Pro envelops that entire main part of the industry, the body of the industry. It's more of the brain of the industry. You guys doing this is almost a perfect fit for me. And San Diego has no interest. I always tell this great joke. I ran into Joss Whedon at the bar one time and I said, hey, can I get a selfie? And he's like, yeah. What do you do here? And I go, I'm a comic retailer. And the first thing, without missing a beat, he said to me was, they still let you guys here?
No. I just want to back up a little bit. That's the most politically correct saying of Dennis about Comic Pro I've ever heard in my life.
Heard. Yeah.
Yep, ever heard. That needs to be clipped.
Okay, stop it. Because they'll use that as a recruitment drive.
Yes, they will.
They say they're going to clip that.
Dennis didn't say the F word during.
Yeah.
Dennis
Look,
is right. I mean, there's a place. Everybody's got kind of like when you go to the Comics Pro Summit, you're going to Comics Pro's event. You're going to Lunar's event. We're not making money off of this. Like this is
right.
for the industry. Like people are.
Yeah.
I want it to grow. I like my shop. I don't want it to go away. So I want the industry to kind of be better. New York Comic Con's a huge comic show. Again, everybody's there, whether they have a booth or not. And it's kind of like we don't need anything out of it. Like,
You
we're
know
not
what's
really
funny,
trying to get
though?
anything
It's
out
an
of it.
ecosystem. We all feed off each other.
Correct. Yes.
So
It's a
if-
big circle. It's a
That's
big
right.
circle. Correct.
And what's funny is Alex, where's your store at?
Long Island City, Queens.
And where's your
Queens,
store at, Emmett?
Port Jervis, New York. So I'm
So-
about 3 hours from him.
Yeah, but it's just a matter of, like, literally, it's these two guys are both New York retailers. They've never met. They don't know each other.
Right.
And New York Comic Con's happening. And here's a moment that literally two guys in the same state that have never met are going to be breaking bread together. They're going to be listening to programs together. And that, Jesse and I have been talking about this for 15 freaking years. That's the reason you go to a retail summit, is to meet people like George, Aaron, Jen King. You know, we built friendships
100%.
in retail that were thousands of miles apart, but are just as strong today as they were. Who are you? Oh, where are you at? Okay, great. Let's talk.
I mean, my favorite, some of my favorite things from the retailer summits is literally just talking to other stores and like, hey, what is your, how do you handle your manga? Like, where's your manga? How do you handle your kids stuff? Do you have a section? Like, I know that's like easy stuff to talk about, but it is. We should all be stealing from each other. Every store is a
100%.
unicorn. Every store is different from the next one. My business partner, he has another store in Brooklyn, and it is night and day between the two stores. Our store is very superhero, very manga mainstream. His store in Brooklyn is independent comics. It's super indie, like people walking in off the street selling him books, and him selling like old school style. So it's when you can learn something from somebody else to use to better your store, like that's gold.
Yeah.
There's no price for that.
Yeah, and everybody's in the retailer world, in my opinion, is better together because you can lean on each other. When you start outcasting yourself, and at some point you're going to get in a situation as a retailer where you could use the advice of somebody else who's been there, or you have somebody that's reaching out to you and saying, hey, be careful with this, or hey, you did a good job with this, do this more, that type of thing. When you outcast yourself, you just make it harder, and we're all better together. We're all better when we lean on each other, and it just gives us more. It's just like in the YouTube world. In the YouTube world, when you're creating content, collaboration is the key, and I think that's true with almost anything. In the retail world, you lean on each other when you need to. You make your friends and your allies, and one guy who's always told me that is Jesse. Jesse's always told me how important it is to have your allies in this industry and in life. And it's very important to do an event like you guys are doing. So what is the plan this year? Is there anything that you can tell us about this year's event that you guys have coming?
So we still have some stuff working on. I mean, I kind of get the no answer back emails the week before San Diego, after and during. But I mean, we've already got some headliners. Todd's coming back. He's going to be doing a talk. Tanya's going to be doing. Tanya's going to do something. Jim Lee's going to actually come in and do a talk. And it's not
who's that Jim Lee guy?
but it's just Jim Lee. Yeah, yeah. And then there's we have some we have Bink come in. They set up a table. We give them kind of free will to take donations and everything. Boom's coming back. They haven't been back in a while. They're going to be sitting up at the Penguin Random House booth, but they're going to come to it. IDW, Tops is coming. They're going to be talking about their trading card program.
Oh, wow.
We have a little bit of everybody. I've kind of gone out and kind of asked, again, Tops. I was like, Tops, I see you guys are doing this trading card program for comic shops, and you got all this stuff. Come talk to people, come sit down, come be in the room. It's card shop owners and comic shop owners are kind of the same, but they're a little different. But
it's one of the great things about ReedPop now, because you guys got your fingers in a lot of pies. You got the Fanatics Fest, and that gives you the nexus into Tops, and to pull them over into the card program or the comic store program. I hate to say it, but I don't think San Diego could do that.
It's and ReedPop, we're not a huge company. We have 4 salespeople that do the whole show. I run all the artist alleys for all the show. That's not a big company. There's not an email that gets bounced around, So when we're trying to do something like that, I know the salesperson to talk to all the publishers. I know the salesperson to talk to that is all the anime and manga dealers. And then that's all Wednesday, and we have a bunch of more stuff coming along. And then on Thursday, we actually have some other things too. There's ICB2 usually throws a little like cocktail event, talks about the industry. And Thursday night, we throw a retailer summit party, and we bring in, food and booze for anybody. It's closed to fans. It's only badge holders that are, retailers or Artist Alley and stuff. And we have just a party for people to come hang out.
I love it.
Hey,
and look at all these
you know
guests.
what? Can I ask a question though? This is on the controversial side, and feel free to bow out of it if it's above your decision. I just saw Charlie Cox. Charlie Cox popping up. Oh, dude, Nicholas Holt's going to be there. God damn, that's going to be cool.
And this is just the first. I mean, I'm not trying to. New York Comic Con is New York Comic Con, but like we're just starting. So
yeah,
there's gonna be some good people.
What do you think about a lot of these kind of what I'm calling stolen IP, stolen comic book IP? We talked about it last week with the Charlie Cox, and then they threw the Daredevil on it, and they threw the Punisher on it. What's your thoughts on this?
Officially, it's really tough. I mean, you're talking about a world where fan art. Again, I've come from the Artist Alley world. Fan art has been something that we've talked about for years. When's DC and Marvel going to say no? These IP holders are going to come in and say no. When where's that overhang? London, we do 2 shows in London called MCM, and there is a trades and likenesses. There's an actual government agency that comes to the show and will walk around to people and go, hey, you have 3 Batman prints. Do you work for Batman? How do you work for DC Comics? And the professionals will just be like, yeah, here's my credits, here's the Batman book. Like it's easy for them. But we have to be careful. We can't just let in a bunch of like fan artists if they don't have credits, because they'll just the trades and people will be like, we'll either write you a ticket or you have to get up and leave. So we don't have that in the US because we don't, unless there's some cease and desist going around. But that's hard. Those blue, those some of those books. It's this. I think if a booth like that was at New York Comic Con, the cease and desist from our partners of DC and Marvel would probably come down pretty heavy. Yeah. I think some of those covers are just a little. There's no skirt in the lines. It's published.
Yeah, way over the line.
Well, and we've talked to quite a bit of publishers, and we've asked them what are their thoughts on it, and not just IP, but also AI stuff. And they're very adamant about no, and it's not something that they want to mess with. We've also talked to other con organizers, and they've said that they're just like you, Alex, the same type of thing. I think the very interesting thing moving forward, and I think San Diego is going to be kind of like the temperature tester,
the litmus test.
Yeah, the litmus test to see how everybody's feeling about it right now because of all the recent stuff that's been happening, where artists and creators are now starting to speak out about it. Because I think it's what you're saying, Alex. I think that some of the big publishers are starting to say, hey, we can't stop retailers from doing this necessarily, but we can kind of tell our artists under our breath, hey, we see it's going on and we don't like it. And I think that's starting to happen a little bit. And I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing some more litigation in those things in the future. We'll see, though, what happens at San Diego and then New York as well.
If we I
work with artists. Go ahead, Emmet.
Yeah, if we educate the collectors, right, and that it's not a good thing, the pocket, right? If people don't buy it, people won't make it. So
my main job is Artist Alley. Yeah. Go ahead.
Alex, I was just going to say, I ran Phoenix Comic Con. Dennis has run his Detroit Con. When this subject comes up, people need to understand how much we have to do before we even get to that stage. That's the challenge that we face. Go ahead.
We had a printer in 2011 who did commercial prints for several artists, and they thought since they made those, they could just print those and give them away. And one of the artists got a hold of me during the con on the first day and was like, dude, you're selling these prints? These were exclusive 5 years ago. And we had to go over, and he's like, well, yeah, we printed those for him. Yeah, but you're not the artist. Yeah. And a lot of people just think that they could do. Yeah.
Especially if you're not in the industry. When I worked at Wizard World, I think I think they're all gone now, so it's okay. But when I worked at Wizard World, we would do the Walking Dead exclusives, right?
Mhm.
And we would also buy the original art from the artist to have like in the offices and stuff. And we're on my way out. One of the new owners of the Wizard World shows or runner, or whatever, asked me, "Oh, can we make T-shirts out of this and sell these?" And I was like, no. He's like, "Well, we own the original art, so we own it, right?" And I'm like, "That's not how that works."
No, that's not how it works.
So it's a little weird. I mean, again, in Artist Alley, I deal with creators all the time, and you know, where's the the IP and what you can make out of it, and I think sketch covers are a great thing. But I mean, I know that there's a lot of creators that do sketch covers that are, some people ask for a little bit more risque, some people ask for a little bit, and I think that's the way to go down that route.
Yeah, so one shot.
My store sells a lot of Taylor Swift golden books and stuff like that. So if we're selling a Taylor Swift official merchandise item, it's very hard to sell something that's not, and that is drastically different from what we're selling officially. So that's kind of my stamp on that. Yeah.
Are people in Artist Alley allowed to live stream from their table?
They can, as long as they're not bothering the person next to them. The Wi-Fi is not going to be great unless you're buying a high-end one. But yeah, as long as people are, the thing with Artist Alley is you're there to make money. Everybody's there to make money. We're there to make money on tickets. You're there to make money off the fans. However you can do that, that's not interrupting everybody else. Do it.
Well, I want to
tell me more about this Wi-Fi being bad.
Yeah. We don't want to get into that yet.
I'm just saying, for streaming, it's a little hard.
Well,
for everything else, it should be
one of the
perfectly
things
fine.
that you guys did that was very interesting and it worked very well, and kind of what Dennis is getting at a little bit here is you guys were kind of at the forefront of allowing some of these new live selling platforms like Whatnot and eBay Live to showcase their app. I remember New York Comic Con a few years back. They had this big, beautiful wrestling ring in the middle and Whatnot sellers.
Oh, yeah.
It was a blast. It was so much fun. It worked so well. What are your thoughts on the live selling platforms themselves, and not just live selling?
Oh, I love them. When card breaks were first really starting to take off, I joined it. I'm not a big sports card guy, but I was enjoying some football breaks, and there was Star Wars vintage cards breaks, and now it's like I'm gonna say 6 years ago it was really starting to take off, and now it's like I try to buy some Lorcana cards. I'm like, I don't understand anything that's going on here, but I mean, people are making money from it, and like some of these streams are stores in the middle of nowhere, and like that's awesome that they can reach these people,
Right.
break a box, sell cards, and just do business with everybody else. I've been an eBay member since 2002. I sell stuff on eBay. I sell stuff on eBay for the store. But I think like the Whatnots and the eBay Live, like it's really you're entertaining while selling stuff, and everybody's happy.
Yes.
Like it's a gamble. You might not get that big card, and the price isn't crazy, and you're good to go. So I love them. I think they're fun.
And it also, you got a bunch of new retailers into the fold with this. And I think one of the things to loop it back around to these retailer events that like you guys are putting on is these retailers are able to learn from other retailers. A lot of these new retailers that are getting involved through live selling platforms and, are getting, creating websites and online retailers, man, they might have a brick and mortar store, but they want to get into this industry, and showing up at these types of events is very important because they can learn, like we talked about earlier, some of the things that, they might not have to learn the hard way. They can learn the easy way for a lot of the things in this industry by going to these events. And we've talked about things in the past, like street date, breaking street date and how important that is not to do. How important, talking about the IP, the skirting the line of IP infringement. Like these are very important things that a lot of new retailers have kind of been, slapped on the wrist about over the past couple of years that maybe they could have learned a little bit about if they would have leaned on some of the other older retailers or retailers that are going to these events or whatever. So
yeah, and especially if you're a new retailer and you're like, oh, I'll join just like the online forums for the retailers, that can get a little scary. And that's kind of where we're hoping we can all just come together. And I was at Comic Pro this year, and it was right in the middle of this diamond stuff and everything going crazy, and it was a positive room. Everybody I spoke to was just positive. Okay, we're gonna get through this. Here's some cool stuff. Like, this is a cool thing that's coming out. Like, it was very positive. The retailers are very positive. And I think that's what the retailers are. Like, you can see stuff online. I think that's anybody online. You can see stuff going bad. The bad comments are loud, but most retailers are very positive about the industry and very much looking to help each other. I don't know any retailer that would say no if another retailer reached out for anything, advice, help, a variant. I'm missing, 3 copies of Batman, Absolute Batman 7. Do you have any I can have? Like, that's brilliant. Like, we do that all the time. My friends, my partner store in Brooklyn, him and Bulletproof trade comics constantly. Like, they almost don't even have it it's not even a file. It's like, oh yeah, here's 3, you gave me 4 last. Like, they just trade stuff.
And the exciting thing, which I can announce, and Alex, you might know or might not know, there is a 40 by 50 booth that's going to be there for a first-time live streaming company. That is going to be very excited. I am working hand in hand with them, so I can't wait till they announce that. And I think that is going to really expand and explode this live streaming market to its fullest.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Yep.
All right. So when is let's remind everybody, when is New York Comic Con?
New York Comic Con's October 9th to the 12th, and Retailer Day is the 8th, which is Wednesday. So again, if you're a retailer, publisher, somebody that wants to come to be a part of this, alex.ray, R-A-E, at reedpop.com. Go fill out a pro badge link. It's on the website. Thursdays are free. The weekends cost about $145, I think. But no matter what, you unlock that Wednesday. Come in on Wednesday if you're a retailer or if you're an exhibitor, you can come in. Artist out. I mean, anybody that has a badge essentially that's not fan facing can come to the Retailer Day. We're gonna have artists up there. CGC is gonna be doing some stuff up there, private signings and such. So it's gonna be busy. It was really fun last year. I mean, I got a lot out of it. I got a lot of good comics out of it. So it was fun. We'll have a party on Thursday for everybody. That's again free for retailers. Come hang
sounds
out.
like a great fun event. And listen, I'm hoping that this
tip. I got a top tip. If you're coming in, stay in Weehawken, New Jersey, and take the ferry
not a bad
over to the
trip.
Javits Center. You'll get a room for you'll get a room for like $100 or $120.
Just take the ferry across.
There's a gamble with the 7 train because the 7 train now comes out right at the Javits Center. You can get out and it's a block away, but sometimes it's closed. So you can stay in Queens, in Long Island City, which has a great comic shop. And you can take the 7 train in, and it takes you right to the convention center. It's about 15-20 minutes. I also tip on that when the train's running.
Well,
let me give you my great tip of my first year at New York Comic Con. I got there and actually rented a car. Don't rent a car. There's it's one of the most stupidest con things I ever did. Like, even the guy thing, he goes, "You're renting a car and you're going to New York Comic Con. You sure you want this car?" I'm like, "Yeah, give it to me."
Well,
and then you paid $500 to park
it, right? Exactly.
A day.
I'm hoping that this year will be my very first New York Comic Con, and I hope to see you there, Alex. I do want to remind everybody,
come hang out.
Go check out Everyone Comics. Make sure you stop by, tell them we said hello, go buy some cool books, and then if you're a retailer, check out this retailer event. It's going to be something that you definitely do not want to miss if you're going to New York Comic Con. And if you can, make it a day out there early to not miss it. So, Alex, you've been on here once. We're going to bug you many more times to come on again. You always got an open seat. Thank you for joining us tonight. And we'll hopefully see you in New York, man.
All right, guys. Enjoy.
Adios, brother.
Take care, man. Good meeting you.
Well, there we go. I mean, yeah, that was sweet.
Emmet's big thing is more retailers. And when Alex was like, "Look, if you're not a retailer, we want you to come in and learn about this, become a retailer." And I was like, yeah, that's totally right in our vibe zone of everything we're talking about.
Yeah. Yep. I'm really looking forward to hopefully making it out there this year. Hopefully with these guys right here. So we'll see how that plays out, which is going to be interesting. I'm going to wait
real
for
quick question.
Go ahead.
What show number is this?
73.
73?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just asking. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hit that like button and subscribe if you're not subscribed. I do, before we bring on our next guest, I want to remind everybody, since we have 100 people watching
102,
live right now.
102.
Do us a favor, hit that like button, subscribe if you're not subscribed. Thanks for hanging out with us. And here's some important information. If you guys were one of the many that missed out on last Wednesday's Sveta Shubina variants, San Diego Comic-Con variants that we were lucky enough, thank you to Sveta, she gave us a few to drop a link and to sell to our viewers in our community here. If you were one of the many that did not get one of those variants, we had, I thank you guys for reaching out to us. I'm not going to be able to do this every time, but because of the amount of people that reached out and said, hey, I didn't get one, is there any way that you guys can figure out a way to do it again? I want to say a big thank you to Michael over at Massive and Adam and Sveta, Adam from Comics Board Inc., who have heard you guys loud and clear, and we are going to be getting you guys the opportunity to buy 20. There will be 20 copies of each of these variants that aren't the variants that were sold on Wednesday, which is very, very cool. These are new variants that are going to be only available at the Massive Publishing booth at San Diego Comic-Con. They were nice enough because of the outcrying of, from everybody saying, hey, we thank you so much for doing that, but we didn't get one. Is there any way you guys could help us out? We've got 20 more copies of each of these that we are going to be dropping a link for on and letting you guys get in on the 18th, which is, I believe, Friday coming up. So pay attention. Come hang out with us tomorrow night on the Wednesday night review, where we'll also be dropping a link to the people that won't be able to make it to San Diego to pick up this amazing Art of Carol Speed Racer cover that is very limited, that will only be available at San Diego and tomorrow night. And this is this book specifically from Big Clutch. Shout out to Big Clutch, who had a really great event last night, where he sold the very first PSA graded comics. He sold his PSA. He had some PSA 10s, which he sold, and he sold a couple of the PSA 9.8s. It was very interesting. We did a great show with Swag, Rob from Neo Comics, and Manu from 99 Newsstand about it. Shout out to those guys, and shout out to Dennis Barger, who's going to have also a bunch of those PSA books. What is your plans for those, Dennis? Do we know what's going to happen with those?
Yeah, so I talked to the people at PSA who invited me to be a part of that initial launch. And I will also say I got confirmed today that this is the guy who submitted the most amount of books for PSA to grade. So they were like, hey, Dennis, we can't get you all your books for San Diego, but can we get you like maybe 20 or 40 of your books by then? And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. So preview night at San Diego, I will be unveiling the first submission that I get back for the show. I plan on doing a couple things with a couple of them. But right now I'm looking to talk to Big Clutch or whoever's doing eBay Live, and I might release a couple of these books to eBay Live just to see what the market brings on these.
There we go.
But I won't know until I unveil the books.
Real quick, I want to give a big shout out to Jack DeMeo, aka Mr. Bolo, who's in the chat. He said, Dennis, you and I need a picture together at the Javits Center for all time's sake. And I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, as long as I can look at my phone going, where's my Wi-Fi?
Jack,
it's possible that Bolo actually absorbs Wi-Fi, and maybe it was all Bolo's fault.
Yeah. Shout out to Jack. Jack, I'm gonna hit you up sometime in the next couple of days and talk to you, find out what your plans are for San Diego. I don't know if you're gonna be there, but I'll be giving you a call. Heads up. All right.
No, I love Jack. Hold on a second. First of all, I love Jack to death. The issue isn't between me and Jack. It was between me and the issue there.
Yeah.
So I got no hard feelings. Jack, I think we're both still Facebook friends, right? I like your things.
Yeah.
When they pop up. So yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, our next guest, longtime industry vet, one of the most respected retailers in the game, and a great guy in general. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Rupp from Rupp's Comic. Chris, how you doing, my friend?
Doing good. How you doing? Wow, what an introduction.
I was going to say, that's his next exclusive.
I'm like,
Chris, the most respected guy.
That $20 I gave you at Phoenix must have paid off.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Chris, if you guys don't know, Chris over at Rupp's Comics is at so many cons throughout the year. You guys have probably stopped by his booth many times. He's one of the best vendors for comic books at any con you go to that he's at. He's always wheeling and dealing. This year, when I went to say hi to him at Phoenix Fan Fest, I walked up and he had all these beautiful Invincible books up. And he was working a deal with a guy for all the Invincible books. And the guy says, okay, I'll take them. And he takes a whole row of these Invincible books. And it was pretty cool to watch. Chris gave him a great deal. And then when I came back to say goodbye to him at the end of the show, Chris, it was the final day, and Chris is talking to another guy, and he's working out a deal to sell basically the rest of his inventory. And Chris is a key when it comes to knowing how to set up as a vendor at cons, and that's why we have him here tonight. I mean, we're gonna bring him on and bug him more times to bring him on and talk about being a retailer and his history in this business. But Chris, you've been doing this for a long time. 26 years ago is when you first set up at San Diego. Tell us about your first time at San Diego.
So my first time at San Diego was all the way back in 1994. And that was the days when you'd ship things back, you'd do all that. And then I was lucky enough to work with Top Cow in 2000 when I actually helped them set up the booth and run the booth for the whole show. And I did that for 3 years. And then when Mike decided to leave, I was good friends with Mike, and we formed, they formed Aspen. And then one of the first persons they asked was me, hey, we'd like you to come with us.
Yeah. What an amazing, person and creator Mike was. We talk about Michael Turner quite often on this channel. Unfortunately, Mike passed away way too young, way too early. I tell the story a lot about how Mike had the same cancer that my brother had. My brother, though, I wouldn't call it lucky, but he was diagnosed 15 years later, and because of the advancement in medicines, they were able to help my brother beat the cancer. I think Mike is probably one of the most underrated artists to this day in comic books. Tell us some stories about meeting Mike and what it was like to be around him back then.
So it was I mean, that was the thing, like at San Diego. I mean, it was at that point I was really good friends with Frank, who's Mike's best friend. If you don't know Frank Mestermau, who runs Aspen Comics. And it was just one of those things that when you met Mike, and that it was like you'd been friends for all your life. He had that ability to make you feel comfortable, to make you, and he had that natural charm. And it was one of those things that was so, it was just you and I watched it all the time when he, I'd control the line, I'd run the line, make sure everything's going smooth. And it was like Mike was just one of those guys that took time for every single person, treated them like, they were special, and that, which they were to him. And to this day, I still, I run the Aspen warehouse and Aspen store. We do all their fulfillment for orders. Two of the pallets going out tomorrow are is the Aspen stuff.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, I've been lucky enough to work with some of the biggest people in the industry, from Michael Turner to Alex Ross to Bill Sienkiewicz, J. Scott Campbell. We worked together for, I think, 4 or 5 years.
You ran a store at one point.
Yeah. And that we ran until they merged everything all out into Colorado there.
Yeah.
And then a year later, Campbell moves to LA.
And something that's very interesting is you brought up Bill Sienkiewicz and Alex Ross, who you work with now. You're kind of getting ready to go help them man their San Diego Comic-Con booths this year, right?
So yeah, it's like at San Diego Comic-Con this year, we have my Rupp's Comics booth at booth 1101, which is only 3 booths. You know, it's like, but it's 3 booths at San Diego, and I share one with Big Clutch. I think everybody here knows Big. So, and then I also run the Bill Sienkiewicz booth, which is another 10 by 20. And then I have the Alex Ross booth, which is a 20 by 50 double-decker booth that I have to fly in on Sunday. And I know Dennis and Jesse, they've all seen it before.
Dude, it is single-handedly the best view of San Diego Comic-Con from up there.
We got Marvel Comics right across the street.
Right over there. Yep. Sideshow usually, but Sideshow.
Anymore.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but we have so many. It's like, it's really been one of those things that's worked out really great, that we have such great relationships over. And that's the thing. I've been in the industry, the collectibles industry, for 40 years now. 40 years this year.
Wow.
So I started sports cards when I was 13 years old, setting up at shows.
Yeah, that's. Hey, listen, you're right at home here with these old guys, man. So they were giving Chris a bunch of crap of being an old guy, and they're old guys.
40 years. That's Ricky years.
Shout out to Nick Barucci, who's in the chat. He says he jumped in. He says, jumping in to say hi to everyone. Hey, Chris, one of the nicest guys in the industry. I couldn't agree more. Shout out to Nick, who hopefully to see him in San Diego this year.
Definitely.
Chris, what's it like getting ready for San Diego every year as a vendor?
So for San Diego Comic-Con, because of the scale that we do, because it's not only are we prepping the Alex Ross booth, the Bill Sienkiewicz booth, the Rupp's Comics booth, and the Aspen booth, we're juggling all sorts of other logistics that play into San Diego, whether it's the hotels, the badge list. Oh my God, the badge list that I have is ridiculous. And there's so many factors that we literally start the day after Comic-Con ends planning next year.
Wow.
And in January is when we really start getting hardcore and start really planning, because especially if you're doing exclusives, anything you've got to work as far in advance as possible. And I mean, it's one of those things I love it. And that's part of the reason why I've worked with so many people is it's something I call trade show logistics.
Yes.
And until you set up at a show, you don't understand what trade show logistics are. Getting stuff, from the dock to your booth. And
the phrase drayage alone will baffle you.
My drayage is 5 figures for San Diego Comic-Con. Is over 5.
Explain what that is, because there's a lot of people that don't understand what that is.
Drayage is what it takes for the union to get your pallet, your stock, your whatever from the dock to your booth. So it costs me about, I think, $6,000 to send a semi to San Diego. But to get it from the dock to my booth is well over 5 figures.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, sure.
Wow.
It is
so
ridiculous.
We hear that all the time. We talk about it all the time on the show. We hear about, vendors talking about how they're unable to use certain outlets because of union issues. Yep. They're unable to put up certain, tables or banners or because of union issues. How much of a problem it is. That is one of the main issues that we hear constantly on the show. It's interesting.
It is. I mean, it's just part of the business. It's something there's really not much way around it unless you work in a non-union hall. And so for things like Comic-Con's really great because the company, not the company, the charity of Comic-Con has this, what's it called? That, it's pallet, it's drayage assistance or something. But basically, if you drive your own truck into the back lot of Comic-Con, they will help you unload your entire truck, put it on a pallet, bring it into the convention center for free. Because Comic-Con assumes all those costs, and that people don't realize, they say, Comic-Con is, how can they be a charity, all this because of how much money they bring in for that show. But they spend a ton of money just to help the retailers and the exhibitors. But if you're an exhibitor like me who has an entire semi truck, which is not my truck, then it's a whole nother story. You got to follow a different set of rules.
Yeah.
And can you talk a little bit about the rules change, the slight little rules changing from one year to the next at every particular hall? There's little slight changes that could throw one monkey wrench into the mix.
Yeah.
Of all the shows I do, and I do 20 some shows a year. There's not much changes. I just roll with whatever happens because I'm used to it. Don't get me wrong. If there's a way to circumvent it, get around it. For San Diego Comic-Con, for my internet, I think my internet bill is like $2,800 for the 4.5 days.
Wow,
but
that's nuts.
I need that internet to run those credit cards.
Yep. Cost of doing business.
Yes, exactly. I used to remember when people would complain about the 2% or whatever you're paying in credit card fees. And I'm like, I would rather guarantee that sale and, giving them that 2% than have that chance of losing that sale.
Remember the good old days, around 2000-ish, when we all had those little cell phone paper machines, and you wouldn't get
those were like bricks.
And
you would have to take it outside and hold it up in the sky, and you would see a sea of vendors just standing outside trying to get us cell phone signal to those.
Screw the antenna on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about and this might not get this question, but the evolution of the customer that actually shops at the Alex Ross booth from the beginning to where you're at now, as far as pricing goes and all that?
So when I started doing the Alex Ross booth back in, it was basically, I was running the Top Cow booth, and Sal, who's been one of my best friends, that came over and asked me, asked me, how much is Top Cow paying you? And I told him, and he said, I'll double it. And I was like, okay, I'll work for you in San Diego next month.
Yeah. Well, you brought up a big name over here that I've been telling these guys about for a long time. Is one of the guys that I can't wait. One of these days we're going to bring him on the show. Sal Abernathy, who is one of the biggest characters in comics. Way back in the day, before I even had a thought of doing comic book content, I was listening to one of the very first podcasts, Comic Book Geek Speak, and Sal is one of the main characters on the show that I remember. He is just classic. What's it like working with Sal? You bring him up.
It's everything from some of the most amazing to the most stressful. he is a full-blown Chicago Italian at that. So it's like we get along really great. He was the best man at my wedding. So it was, and there's other times when there's actually an incident on setup at San Diego Comic-Con that both of us ended up screaming at each other at that. And then 2 minutes later, we turned around and said, "Hey, I'm sorry." It's like,
those are the best type of friends, man.
It's like, we're family, and we'll always it's like, as much as we disagree with things, like I disagree with something earlier today, and it ended up being one of those, whatever, do what you want.
Yeah. And I remember,
and you need that type of relationship. So
yeah. I remember Sal. I remember the Atomica book that he put out back in the day. I remember being a fan, such a big fan of that.
Beautiful.
Oh, gorgeous. Yes. And it's very interesting. Uncle Sal is a legend. Shout out to Awesome Sauce Radio, Adam, who's in the chat.
I've actually never listened to an episode of Comic Geeks.
Wow.
I've heard some of the stories he's told about me. I'm like, I don't know if I want to hear the full story.
He was just great on that show, and I love to hear that he works with you. When I found that out, I was flabbergasted, and it's again synchronicity. I love hearing that. That shows to you the comic industry. We think it's this big, huge thing, and it's not. It's a very small thing. And you know, we were talking earlier with Alex from ReedPop about how important it is to lean on the other people in the industry that you know and that you've become friends with over the year. Can you talk a little bit about that and what your thoughts on how important that is?
No, I can't agree more. It's that the comic industry is so small, and that it's a niche market and then we're niches within niches. And that's why I try to get along with everybody. I don't think there's anybody in this industry that I don't get along with. There's a few people I won't work with.
There you go.
Yeah, but I've always gotten along with people. I mean, once in a while you have a bad customer, but the industry itself, it's part of the reason I've still been doing it so many years. And that Dennis and I have gotten along great for, I don't know, we're probably almost 20 years.
25.
Oh, fuck.
New York, I'm sorry, Motor City Comic Con 2000 when you had the G.I. Joe.
Okay. And
that was 2000, right?
Yeah. And we are so polar opposite on so many things, both in the industry, outside the industry, and of all people, it's like, you're the first person I'll call you on your bullshit if you're saying something. I may not publicly.
Yeah. But you know what, though? You're the first one that when you hear this show or you see a post online, you're one of the first ones that'll send me a text message. By the way, you're totally right about that.
I've also said you're totally wrong about stuff. You're right.
Oh, yeah. But most people just tell me I'm wrong. They never do that extra. You're right.
There's points that it's like, sometimes I disagree with the way you get to your point.
Well, you know what? I think that means it's time for Unfiltered. 1 second here, Chris.
Yo, is this
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's that. You guys know how this works. We are entering Unfiltered time.
This is where I get in trouble.
Yeah. So you were finishing up with, you call out Dennis a lot.
Yep.
That was your takeaway? That was your takeaway, Jesse?
Yeah, that's that. I just heard the a lot.
Yeah.
I have nothing right now. So with Dennis.
So
it's like,
we were talking earlier with Alex about the fact that there something that's come up recently is the play on IP infringement, and it's been a big topic of discussion here on the channel lately and on the show. And for those of you guys that don't know that are watching, lately a publisher has come under fire by not only artists or creators, but a few retailers and a few community members about, there's a fine line between IP infringement and homaging and cosplay. And, I would love to get your take on it being a retailer, because one of the things that I find very interesting is, look at this booth, you guys. This is a beautiful setup that Chris has at cons. Absolutely just chock full of great books. And one of the things that I find interesting is when it comes to these books, I talk to people that set up at cons, and they don't see very many of these, selling in their back issue bins or people asking for them. I would love to hear your thought on, first, how often do you see these, people asking for these or showing up in any type of back issue bins that you put out, Chris?
These fame books?
Yeah.
Oh, never. I never see them. I never get asked for them. They are, like I said, I've been officially doing licensing since 2015 with Alex Ross, where I've had licenses, or still do, with Disney Marvel, with Warner Brothers DC, the Beatles, the list is, Universal Monsters. We had to deal with Universal Studios at one time. We've had so many, and this is skirting the law of intellectual but just IPs.
Yes.
And that they're putting it under the guise of an autobiographical comic. And that I've never looked on the inside of one, but I've been told that it's just probably an AI generated autobiography, and that which AI, we can go on a whole nother rant on that.
Right.
And that there's things I love about AI, and there's things that I think that really need reined in on AI, and eventually there'll be some sort of legal decision, I think. But when it comes to these fame books, DC and Marvel need to pull out their cease and desist letters and at least send them out, because they're taking it to a level that is not, in my opinion, and I'm no lawyer, that is legal. These books are going to be worthless.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that it's like, and I got a stack of variants to show for San Diego for here, what we're going to do it there. But it's like, and I do variants for myself with Aspen, with Alex Ross, with Bill Sienkiewicz, with Campbell back in the day. But there's a limit. I mean, it's like, I will be talking to a couple lawyers at San Diego, people that I know that are attending. One of my good friends, she is one of the biggest IP lawyers in the industry, and that she's actually been in front of the Supreme Court before.
Right.
So,
but
yeah,
isn't it? But really But Chris, don't you feel that it's kind of like that old saying, if you're then pray for rain, you have to deal with the mud. But no one is actually in that lawyer level saying anything to them. So until that happens, they will keep on pressing the button.
Correct. I do know with licensing, and that it is expensive to have your lawyer, the lawyer at Marvel, or at Disney, at Warner Brothers, to have them issue any sort of paper.
Yep.
It is very expensive. So they pick and choose where they do it. I mean, just you go down Artist Alley, you look at all those prints every artist is selling. Those are 1,000% illegal. They did the art. They own the original art. They can sell that original art. But once you make a copy of that, you have now crossed into copyrighted territory but Marvel and DC, because it's on what they consider a small scale, they don't say anything.
Were you at Wizard World when I think it was Matt Texteria was getting crap for selling Ghost Rider prints that wasn't his?
So usually that's somebody that is just like a Marvel rep or somebody like that. And that was early days, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Mark Texeira is who you mean? Yeah.
Texeira. Yeah.
So it wouldn't shock me, because I remember at Motor City Comic Con one time, this is at Dearborn when they're there. So this is probably almost 30 years ago. Somebody was selling the Fantastic Four, the movie, the original.
No, you're talking. This was 15 years ago.
Nope.
2009.
You're talking you're talking the FBI raid.
Yeah. Okay, so you're talking about a different one.
I'm talking about the original FF movie from Roger Corman.
Yes.
That they were selling VHS copies of, and a Marvel rep walked right behind the table, grabbed every one, and took them. This is back when Marvel used to set up at every show in the country.
Right. Sure.
Yeah. Talk about this FBI raid. I don't let's hear about this FBI. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's 2009 Motor City Comic Con.
Yep.
I think you and I were set up like 2 booths apart from each other.
Could be. I know one of the guys was right across the.
Right across from us. So during setup, we didn't know how this happened, but they got in during setup and they walked around and they figured out who all the vendors were. And it was either 19 or 20 different vendors.
There was a lot.
And so somebody walked around, made a list, and they came back first thing the next morning.
Yep.
And they just walked around and they put a county trooper at the booth and said, all your stuff is frozen.
They had so many people there that there was they hit every booth at the exact same time.
Right at the beginning.
Yeah, I talked to a few people and they said that they were all outside. This was afterwards, of course.
Yeah.
and that they were outside planning their thing, and they were probably looking at a map, so they know they literally hit every single one of these people all at the same time.
They didn't just slap them on the wrist; they cuffed every single vendor, handcuffed, perp walked, seized the booth, had armed people hauling away their entire inventory, bootleg or not bootleg.
Yep.
Loaded it into a truck. Loaded into a truck, and they were on the evening news.
Yep.
See, that's fascinating.
Most of it, from my understanding, was mostly a fine. I don't believe there's any jail time, and that. So, I mean,
I don't think they get their stuff back though.
No, it all got burned.
See, that's the thing that I find very interesting, and that is one of the reasons why we do this show, right? That is a piece of information that most of these probably newer retailers or new people who are taking part in some of these variants don't know about. And if it's happened before, it's going to happen again. Like you can't keep.
I mean, so-and-so studios could literally do that same thing whenever they want, and they'll only do it to put such a scare into the people doing this. I'll tell you what, I knew about half of those vendors. Yep. They had part legit and part illegit businesses. And we know a couple of them. They never touched a bootleg anything after that because that put the scare in them.
But a lot of this all comes about because of, at least I remember the VHS tapes. The VHS tapes you would, right as the video starts, you get that FBI warning in front of it. Right. I don't know. Is that still in front of Blu-rays and DVDs now?
No, I don't think so.
No, that was a guy. Yeah.
That was a thing back in the day. For some reason, the FBI was in, I don't want to say the pocket of the movie industry.
Yeah.
It sort of was. But all this other industry, the book industry, all this doesn't have any protection like that. It doesn't feel like without their own lawyers.
Yeah. Yeah. The one thing about that is you can even fast forward past that FBI warning there. Here's how they solve it. It's a very simple solve. You put the responsibility on the con owner. And Marvel, DC, they say, here, we're going, if we find someone that has a booth that has bootleg product, we're holding you responsible. And I guarantee you that store, that con owner will send his puppets or wherever to every single table.
So it becomes a slippery slope, though, because you have to be sure that it is legal. Otherwise, if you accuse them of that, then you can be sued back.
But if you put that in your contract, right?
But correct. But that's what I'm saying. You have to be positive that when you go to that guy and accuse him of having bootleg material, that it is bootleg material. Otherwise, he can sue you right back, and he could take the show.
Oh yeah, sure. But I think
our litigious industry that
I mean, you can bring a piece of paper to him at the beginning and say, okay, let us know what you're selling. Do you own the rights to sell this? What I'm saying is, at the end of the day, instead of going per booth, let's find a simple way. Let's put the responsibility.
But here's the thing: a simple line that says we have the right to tell you that you cannot sell a certain piece of property if we find it in that contract that you sign would indemnify them from walking up and saying, I don't think this Marvel variant is authentic. Well, it is. Okay, but either way, we're using the contract to say we don't want you to sell this.
That's a great area.
Yeah, it's fair. I just think some responsibility has to start somewhere. And if you're saying, hey, there's 400 booths, Marvel's not going to go check 400 booths. Let's put the responsibility on the person who's selling those booths.
So I do know that some shows have that type of lines in their contracts. That I couldn't tell you any specific one. But I do.
So I'm doing a show the week after San Diego here in Detroit, an anime show. They had an entire paragraph, and we shared it here on the show, Brian, about AI art. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Okay.
If they don't say also AI, it's out. You're out.
They require a tax ID number, right, to run a booth?
Right.
Yeah,
sales tax number. And
we did ask Rich from
MegaCon.
MegaCon. We asked.
Fan Expo.
Yeah.
we asked him, and we said, "What's Fan Expo's take on AI art?" He said, "Absolutely not." You know.
Yep.
So
I do a lot of Fan Expo shows.
yeah.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
So,
But it's the other area that's caused a little bit of a gray area in the last, I don't know how many years, is I believe it extends out of parody law that came from the adult industry.
Yeah.
And that where they were able to that is now merged over to the law that allows cosplay variants.
Right.
And
exactly.
that, which it blows my mind, some of these things that I see, that it's like, this is 1000% this character.
Right.
Yeah.
But here,
a cosplay variant.
Right. Here's the problem with that. You say you've done 26 cons. How much responsibility can we even take in policing that? Or is it our responsibility to police it?
As a promoter or as a retailer?
As a retailer.
As a retailer, you should hopefully know the difference between what is legal and not legal. But as Artist Alley proves every time I walk down it, they don't understand it. They think that since they created the art, I can make prints of it. But no, they can't.
Well,
but
back to what Alex was saying about the Walking Dead art.
Yeah.
And, like, hey, can I make T-shirts out of this? No, you don't own that.
But it's I've had so many artists argue that with me, and I'm like, Marvel and DC just aren't enforcing it.
Yeah, exactly. I want to go back to a question that I asked. I wanted to ask you about, is there price resistance at all at San Diego, or does price does not matter?
That still comes down to the customer.
Okay.
Like with the Alex Ross, you were saying it with the Alex Ross.
Right.
When we started the Alex Ross booth there, we sold nothing but original art.
Yep.
So I used to get people that used to say, what is the K here? It'd say 5K or 10K. And they're like, what is the K? And I'm like, 1,000.
They dip into their pockets and pull out 5 Scrabble letters and say, here you go.
I've had people pull out I heard you guys mention that earlier, but yeah, I've had people pull out $10 and stuff like, and it's like, so you have all sorts of customers and everything. And that's to where we have items that are, God, I don't even know what our lowest item is this year. We have $30, $40, $50 items up to 6-figure items.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
we talk about that quite often, Chris. We talk about Alex Ross. I talk about the giclée, right? And these high quality prints.
You want to know the definition of giclée?
I do.
Yes.
It is a made up word. It is a bullshit. Sorry.
You can cuss.
It is a made up French word, giclée, which basically means inkjet.
That is amazing.
I got to tell you something though. I can't remember how many years ago. I want to say it was 2017. It was when I took my son out to San Diego. And you guys have something that I don't think a lot of people at San Diego have. I bought my Flash Gordon print. I think you guys had my giclée limited to 10. And Sam Jones was there and he signed it and Alex signed it. And I was like on the fence. And I think it was Justin was like, we can just mail this to you, right, Dennis? Because I was like, how am I going to get this on the plane? Blah, blah, blah. And it included the shipping. You guys would ship it when you get back.
Well, we did that because you were just an hour away from us.
Oh, okay. But you do ship the art. And it's some of the most professional packing ever.
Yeah, I would say the San Diego, the walls. I mean, basically, if you guys haven't seen our booth at San Diego Comic-Con, it is like dropping an art gallery on the show floor.
Yes.
It is white. I mean, which is the biggest thing when we had to put white carpet down, I was like, no, let's not do white carpet. But we did, and it worked. Now with Comic-Con no longer having aisle carpet, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because that floor at the Comic-Con has so
brutal.
Much no matter how much they clean it, it's still dirty.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that white carpet turns gray pretty quick.
So do you have, since we're talking about San Diego Con, do you have an inclination of what is going to be in the spots about 20 feet in front of you?
So I do not. I did inquire about 2 months ago. And at the time, they were under the understanding that Diamond was still going to be there. So that tells me that Diamond turned in a form last year at the end of the year.
But did they pay?
What's that? And they might have paid.
See, I had heard they didn't pay.
I don't know, but
Okay.
that's the thing. I don't know that, but that has been their space for as long as I can remember.
Yep.
And I highly doubt AdPop is going to show up there. And that, because I can tell you what,
NECA does have a booth in the back corner, don't they?
NECA's always had a booth there.
Yeah.
So they will be there. But I highly doubt they'll take over that AdPop space. And that I have not re-inquired over at Comic-Con because I don't want to bother them about it, because it's like
right around the corner.
Well, have they not given the floor plan for the floor yet?
Somebody told me they had a map, but I haven't taken a look at it.
Okay.
I'm happy when I can go to sleep.
And for those of you guys that don't know what we're talking about the Diamond Comics booth at San Diego, which is one of the biggest booths, if not the most important.
What is it?
booth at
40
the
by
con.
60, probably?
At least.
Yeah. 40 by 60. And then the toy is probably 30. Well, the toy is probably 10 by 30 twice. Right?
Yeah. Yep. Both sides.
And they owned all that display stuff. They owned the booth. They didn't rent it.
Yep.
So I think that was one of the assets that I'm surprised that they didn't try to, sell off.
Well, it would have been more of a liability because it's not an asset. You can't sublease in San Diego.
Nope.
So that's Diamond's spot, but they have to maintain it, much like if they had a lease or something like that. That was what I was saying. I had heard they did not submit the money to pay for that booth,
Right.
or set up the plans to operate that booth, because that's due by January, which is when they filed bankruptcy. So it would have been more of a liability on that sheet than it would have been anything else. Because it's like, oh, by the way, we also have to pay this $50,000 to San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah. Action Figure has a great response to that.
Yeah, he says the AdPop booth will be showing off their collection of pink slips. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. If AdPop is somewhat set up there, oh my God, the amount of publishers that would descend upon them. I mean, they're having this hearing on the selling off of inventory the week of Comic-Con. That's just a coincidence.
Right.
I mean, luckily, all the people involved that I know have legal representation, so they don't even have to go to it.
Right, exactly. What did me and Brian talk about? I called Brian. I said, I don't get why they're trying to push this away. No president of the company is going to that courtroom. Yeah. That's what their lawyers go to.
Yeah.
And the judge is just going to say, so your lawyer needs to go to San Diego Comic-Con. What is he doing there?
Right,
Why isn't he here?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, all they're going to do at this is they're going to contest it. They're going to submit their reasons why. And then the judge is going to take them and make a decision, whatever, a week or two later.
Well, you and I know how, we all know how this works, Chris. How much inventory do your different companies that you help represent, how many of them have any inventory at Olive Branch now?
I know people that do. So,
yeah. Okay.
And that, so I definitely do.
What was their rationale for not getting it January through May?
My understanding is that there was no system to get it.
Oh,
okay. See, remember what I said?
Yeah.
I bet you nobody's picking up the phone to set up those dock times.
There was no procedures. I mean, AdPop, everything was tied up because of bankruptcy court. So you cannot do anything like right now. Even though the bankruptcy sale is done, they still have to get permission from the court to do something.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what started the situation we're in right now.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And what is going to kill everybody, and I'll say this every single show, no one requested an inventory count. And if you're now asking for an inventory count, if you say you have 10,000 books, AdPop's going to say, here's your 500 books.
Yeah.
No, I had 10,000. Where's
Chris,
your
are you ready to
inventory?
tell that story that you told me about the delivery that showed up one time, like 15 years ago?
Which story? Sorry.
When you were expecting a truck from Diamond and you received a different truck full of stuff?
Wow, I don't remember that story at all.
The air conditioner parts and
That
equipment?
was not me.
I could have swore that was you.
No, I've heard you tell this story on a few things, but that was definitely not me.
Okay. There was some, but you've heard that story outside of not me, right?
I don't know, but it
Because
I
it would have been in our circles.
Bill.
It would have been in our circles then. I always thought it was you.
I mean, I've received things from Diamond before, like the stuff that like the publisher doesn't want to keep stocking it there, so they send, like Aspen has sent, overstock to us to store.
Yeah.
From Diamond, and then all of a sudden I get a skid of some odd stuff.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that, or half a skid, and I report it, but then nothing ever happens.
Yeah.
When was the last time you had a invoice from Diamond as a retailer?
I have no clue. I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, 10 years ago.
No. I mean, it's like I haven't. I mean, we still get. I think we finally stopped ordering from Diamond within about a month ago. But I haven't actively done monthly orders in 10 plus years.
Well, my question was, were you one of the idiots who paid the invoices?
So I paid invoices. I made sure invoices were paid up until probably March.
Okay.
So the whole, and I mean, this is getting way off topic, but the whole where Diamond had all that old debt on their books. And I'm no accounting expert at all. I got a D in accounting 1 and accounting 2. But I understand that it's like, if you have a client that owes you money, you write it off and take the tax break. That it's like, I don't understand. There's so much I haven't never understood. I mean, Dennis and I and Jesse, we've all talked about Diamond's system, whatever, the problems there. And I mean, the DOS based, ordering system, which is still better, I hear, than Penguin Random House.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's so much. Yeah. I mean, this has been really crazy to see all this happen. I'm kind of, as much as I like the convenience of Diamond, it was a system that definitely didn't work anymore. And I mean, and that's been for 10, 15 years at least.
Yeah.
That's Lunar system.
This is a conversation you and I definitely had. And it was right after I brought up at the retailer summits about the credit. And I called you up because I'm like, okay, Chris, I know you're buying buildings and I know you're, and you were like, I was like, how are you working your lines of credit? And you were like, Dennis, go ahead. If you want to, do you remember the conversation?
I don't remember exactly what I said. I mean,
that basically you can't rely on the banks because nobody considers our business to be legitimate. Right. And Chris is one of the most legitimate dealers. The amount of cash flow that Chris has versus a lot of other retailers is astronomical. Yeah, and even he couldn't get. I remember you said something about you were asked for a $50,000 line of credit and your bank turned you down.
Yeah, we are a high risk industry. To any lender.
That part never came up in any of my discussions. What I dealt with my bank was that I've been with them for 30 some years. Still am, actually. I haven't found a replacement. And when I went to buy this new building 4 years ago of 32,000 square feet, my bank ended up telling me that, yeah, Chris, we just really can't help you. And they're the biggest bank in the area. They're supposedly your local bank that helps the local.
Yeah.
And they said, and I owned 2 properties at a time. I've got all my inventory and that, plus I still have, my investments in stocks and everything else. And even though I was willing to put it all up because I knew I could pay the mortgage, no problem, they still would not touch me.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the question is, do you have room to get 8,100 more square feet?
8,100?
Yeah, 8,100 square feet. We need you to be the largest in the world to move that other person out of the way.
How big is his store?
41,000.
So if you combine my 3 buildings, I have a lot more than him.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Let's do
Chris,
it.
actually, I've actually been to Chris's store and I've been to Chris's house, and it's probably what most of us have always kind of dreamed about. And of course, I don't think your wife dreams about it.
I hope my wife
Jen-
isn't watching right now.
Jen hates it. But tell everybody the situation that your business is in, your main.
So my main building, of which I'll even tell you guys what I paid for the building. I bought this in December of. What's that?
No, go ahead.
You're echoing.
Okay, I bought this in December of 2001, and I negotiated that because they were asking $38,000 for the property.
For the property.
For the property, that was a 20-some thousand square foot building and a pole building on the side lot. So this is 2021, small town Ohio. This is 2001, and they thought all the value was in the pole building on the side lot. And the realtor actually told me they don't want this building. That I says, I'll take it for $5,000.
Wow.
and they accepted.
Wow.
I couldn't wait to sign that paper. No, this was not a move-into building. This was so it was about 20,000 square feet. We ended up tearing down over the years 6,000 of it, I believe. And that because that part wasn't worth saving.
The middle part.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's where our parking lot is now. The main building was built in 1870.
Wow.
Like I said, 16,000 square feet.
2 stories.
2 stories, 3 stories if you consider the basement, since
Basement.
it's partially exposed because of the hill.
Yeah.
And it is, it's currently 16,000, I think 15 or 16,000 square feet. And with loading docks and everything, but we took it back to the gas line, the water line, the electrical main, and we started from scratch on everything. So I put probably $200 and some thousand into this. But what I paid in improvements and the building and everything else is a fraction of what I would have paid to rent a building.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And you have probably the dopest 5,000 square foot house. Living quarters, 4,000 to 5,000.
No, it's actually only 16. It's only 1,600 square feet.
Really? It feels like it's much bigger.
Yes. So of this 2-story building, the building that was built in 1870 had a full second floor, and I ended up turning it into my home.
That's awesome.
And that, 11-foot ceilings, big old factory windows, and everything.
Movie theater.
I did put in a movie theater, soundproof movie theater, tiered with reclining seating.
That's awesome.
I remember Talia was a baby and my kids were like little kids, and they just thought that was the greatest thing they had ever seen.
Yeah. It's like, so with my daughter being born, I lost control of it, at least until about 9 p.m.
Yeah.
So after 9 p.m. it becomes mine again. So I get it for a couple hours.
Right.
That's the way it works.
And the good thing about this is I think when people look at us in particular, they think, oh, these guys are 24/7 comics, not realizing we got this regular life that we go through. We have these things that make us happy, right? And I think that's how that's why we sell so many books, is because we relate to people because they have the same ambitions as well. And so I think that's what's cool about when you hear someone's backstory beyond the comic book store.
Yeah.
This is that great. This is why I still enjoy this industry. I mean, there's parts of the corporate side that I hate. I mean, like I hate with a passion. And it's like, even for my therapy is to go find a skid of comics and start sorting them.
Amen.
And that it's so therapeutic.
I did the same thing today. I finally got to go through this other part of this collection that I bought like a month ago. And I'm just like, oh, wow. Oh, I didn't realize I had a full run of this. Oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm currently at about almost 180,000 comics that I've bought that I haven't touched.
Yeah.
Of collections.
Well, what's funny is if Shannon was here, she would tell you exactly why I said we just opened the boxes we bought from you from MegaCon
Oh,
like 2
geez.
days ago. And I get to the end, I'm like, Chris did not put no freaking Hawkeye books in this whole all the 8 long boxes. I was so disappointed.
You
Out of
want
all
some
those boxes, no
I'll,
Hawkeye.
I'll send you some Hawkeyes. Don't
There
worry.
you go. I appreciate it.
Chris, I want to talk real quick about another big part of the industry that has really been kind of taken over the last couple years, 5-6 years now, and that is the retailer exclusive variant game. And you kind of take part in both of these. You take part in the retailer exclusive game, and then there's also another part of that, which is the con exclusive. What are your thoughts, first of all, because we're going to get into the con exclusives here in a second, but what are your thoughts on how the retailer exclusive game has kind of played out over the last couple of years?
That's a big question. I mean, there's so many angles to that question. I think I do retailer exclusives. I do like to make money.
Yes.
And that
We all
like
do,
I
yeah.
like to pay my bills. I like to have some money and that, but I use a lot of my retail exclusives just to promote the store and that. So when there's a low buy-in, like a $200 and a $2 cost or something like that, I'll do just about anything just because, and I use that as advertising. It's
wow,
like,
that's very
like
important.
Yeah, I got so many people to sign up for the Aspen 10 for 10 promotion. And that because it was literally, I think it was 100 copies or 200 copies you had to order. It was $2 each. You could use the static art that they had or bring in a local artist and have your own cover. They didn't care. It was like, and I said, I convinced so many people to do it by like, I'm like, guys, this is better than a business card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that it's like, this is literally a physical comic that they're going to keep, but it's got your name right on it.
Yeah. That is very
It's like,
important because we have, Jesse and Dennis. That's another great point that we have never brought up on the show, you guys, that you guys have also taken part in throughout the years. You guys have that is such an important thing that we have never talked about.
I just sold a 2010 Detroit Fanfare Uncanny Avengers #1 that I did. And we couldn't find a copy of it. I have like one box left in like the deep storage. We had to move 20 boxes out of the way to find where I have like the last copies of this. And it was a $10 sale, but it was like, shit, I don't think we have any more in these boxes. We have to pull the last box we have out of deep storage. We had to work for an hour just to uncover a $10 book.
Yep.
That is
Like,
such a great point.
I think Jesse of all people has probably done more than the three of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, I'm at like 60 or 70 variants for my store.
I'm at like 40 or 50. Yeah.
Yeah. Jesse's probably over 100 by now.
426.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Well, here, Brian, I have an answer for you.
Yeah.
I
And
have an
here's-
answer for you
go ahead,
on your
go ahead.
question to Chris.
Uh-oh.
I
don't
think
I don't get to answer it.
No, you already did answer it.
Okay. I don't even remember the question. Sorry.
So if you remember the end of the first Christopher Nolan Batman movie, it's escalation. You start wearing a mask, they start wearing a mask.
Mm-hmm.
So as this, and like I said, the first time I met Chris was at Motor City with his G.I. Joe variant.
Yep.
J. Scott Campbell, G.I. Joe #1.
Yep.
And that was like, oh, damn, I wish I could get to that point. You know what I'm saying? And then 5 years after that, I have my own store now and I'm making variants. And I would do a variant. I would do a variant every quarter, every, maybe half a year, every quarter. Then it became, I'm doing a variant every other month. And then you do one for a show and you do one for a show, or you do 3 for a show from 3 different publishers to kind of get. But I think that's what happened with the variant game is other people were seeing what Jesse and me and Chris and dozens of other retailers were doing, the J Brothers, all this. And they said,
They started a lot of that.
They started almost all of it.
Oh, they
They
were
used to be at Motor City Comic Con, every convention.
Yep.
Yeah, Jimmy and Bill and their mom even.
Shout out. Big shout out.
They
But
are
DM editions,
who
all
started
that
retailer variants.
But wouldn't you say that was kind of the escalation was all of these big people were doing this and all of the smaller people were like, I have to compete with them. I've got to do that too. And then one variant wasn't enough on your booth to get the attention. You had to do 2, 3, 4, 20, and then it became this giant pissing match between all of these guys doing, the unknowns and the, all these different companies. And then it's kind of funny because the guys like us were like, yeah, I don't need to do one anymore. Yeah. I'm not going to 20.
Yeah. I think a lot of you guys kind of brought it down, but I do want to talk about this because I want to switch it over to con variants because Chris, you have done some amazing con variants recently. And I want to talk about one that is one of my favorite con variants of the last couple of years. And that was at C2E2 this year. You did a couple of them and we talked about Michael Turner early on the show. And we talk about homage covers a lot on this channel, and not all the time good comments about homage covers. And I always say that I think homages are very important in the world of comics and comic covers, and when done right, they're amazing. And you did one, and it was kind of like a little shout out to Michael Turner of old, where you homaged basically the Renegar cover, the classic Renegar cover from Michael Turner. And this book was amazing, absolutely perfect in my opinion. Tell us how this kind of came together, because you also did another Michael Turner homage cover back with the Vampirella.
Yeah, I mean, and it's with Michael Turner and that. I mean, with the Renegar edition there, I literally called Mike up, like Michael Renegar.
Yep.
And that, and I said, hey, I would love to do a new version of your cover. And he was like, well, as long as I can get some copies, sure.
That's awesome.
So it's like, and because Renegar has been a good friend for, I don't know, 15 years at least. And that back when he was at Palisades Toys.
Yeah.
And that it was like, so, and it just from there, it's like with Michael Turner and Aspen, I have so many people that will say, Mike would never like this. Mike would never do this. And I'm like, Mike would want whatever it to be done to keep his name alive, to keep Aspen Comics alive. And it's like, and there's everything is still done with the love of Michael Turner. And there were so many times Mike and I would talk about covers. We'd talk about ideas for the conventions. And it's like, and then Frank and I would work together. And that's luckily I've had, the great pleasure that he's one of my best friends, and him and I have been able to work together every day to keep Mike's legacy alive.
I'm going to tell a story that you told me before Mike passed. And I just to validate this, Mike spent his last several months on this earth propping himself up with one arm on a drawing table to get as much art done so that Aspen had as much Michael Turner art to use to keep that company alive after he knew he was going to pass away.
I remember that story, but
you told me that story.
I may have said something similar to where it's like in that last year of Mike's life, and that he did like 54 covers, and that Frank, of course, could attest to the actual amount, but he did so many covers for Marvel Comics and himself. And that year, it was just like, I had never heard of any other artist doing that many covers. And this was back in 2000, 2007, 2008.
Yep. I mean, it was unreal. It was such a loss. And to see these covers, show back up, pop back up, and the way you guys did them, it was amazing. It was so cool. And, good on you guys for doing it and how you did it. I think con variants are so important to the game and how they're done these days. And that leads me to my next little bit. And you have some amazing covers coming for San Diego, right? I mean, look, this is gorgeous.
We dropped the trade dress version of this back in April, I believe is when it was. And it sold unbelievably, which I knew it would, because I'm sorry, it's one of the, other than X-Men #1 homage that he did the previous year, and that this is one of the most iconic covers of the last 40 years.
Yeah. And Alex has been killing the variant game, especially for San Diego over the last four years. They've been unreal, absolutely unreal.
I've been trying the best I can.
I mean, they're so good.
This is one that there's this. I changed the way this year, and that I decided I'm only going to sell them at the con. I'm not going to put this cover on alexrossart.com as much as I have always done that. If for some reason I have copies left, yes, a couple weeks later I'll drop them on the site.
Yeah.
But it's limited to 1,000, which means there's probably only really 900 good copies.
Yeah.
Luckily we got this back in March, April. So I actually have CGC copies of this. So we'll actually have CGC signed copies and unsigned copies at the booth. I'm if somebody shows up if Dennis, you show up on Wednesday night and say you want 500 copies, I'll sell you 500 copies as long as your credit card.
Here's the thing. You talked about the signed and the CGC copies, because that's another thing I want to talk about. A few years ago, I remember walking up to the booth, and I think it was the Starfire and the Joker covers, which were gorgeous. And that's another cool thing, is that you do have those signed CGC copies available at the con, which is awesome for people that collect those.
Yeah, that's what I try to. I mean, that's the thing with all of us. I mean, with us being in the variant market, so to speak, and that I've seen so many levels of it that it's like I learn what usually works, and I try to deliver what the customers want. And as much as we talk about variants and what their value is, like for a con variant, to me, it's you're taking a piece of the con back, but you're also getting this amazing piece of art.
Yes. Yes.
That it is. I try to actively, if I say there's 900 copies, there's really 900 copies. I didn't make 2,000.
Yep.
So one of the times I asked one of our mutual friends, I was like, why did Alex do this cover? Why did Alex do that? And he said, oh, because Alex wanted to do that art just to do that art. And he knew he already had a buyer for it. So why not get paid to do the art?
Well, it's as far as a buyer, I don't know much about that. Alex doesn't really involve himself at all.
No. You guys, I know you guys handled that.
Yes.
But, can you explain that? Because I've explained that to Bryan before, that Alex's commodity as art has so many different levels. The publisher wants the art. Alex has buyers for every piece of art Alex does. In between, all of that. Can you explain that?
So, I mean, a good example with art, and well, it's also the content of it. This is Spider-Man. This is McFarlane's Spider-Man.
Yes.
That he's homaging. And this is on a whole other level. And that a prime example of things that we've always had problems with is that, no offense to Nick, when Alex was doing all his Green Hornet covers, all I saw when I saw a Green Hornet cover, I saw Batman, Robin. When I saw Green Hornet and Black Beauty, I saw Batman, Robin, and the Batmobile. And that for the content of that piece, you'd get like 5,000, maybe 6,000 for a cover. For a Batman and Robin cover back then, you would get like $20-some thousand.
Yeah.
Alex didn't care. Alex wanted to do what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
He did so many Green Hornet covers. He did shadow covers. I think he did more than 50. And that, and now he's on to that point to where now he's doing what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Listen, Alex is the GOAT. I talk about this all the time. For me, there are 3 GOATs when it comes to artists in comic book history. It's Alex, Frazetta, and Wally Wood. Those are the 3 GOATs to me. And I think Alex, it's amazing the quality of work he puts out with how much work he does. I'm surprised at how quick he can do it and how good the quality is.
Yeah, if you can get, there are YouTube videos in that out there of him painting, and to see the process. He paints everything black and white, and then he layers in the colors on top of that. Right now there's an exhibit up in at the Dunn Museum, just north of Chicago, and that showcasing all of his Marvel and DC poster pieces, the timeless ones that he did.
Yeah. And I had no idea he had done all of those in full body.
Every single one.
And because I had only ever seen all of the cover art where they cropped it down to shoulders and head.
Yeah. DC back then did, especially when you go all the way back to the DC ones. DC
Yeah.
did a poster for a full-size poster for Batman, Superman, Green Lantern, and I believe one other, but the sales were so bad because it was a $24.99 poster back then in the 90s.
Yeah.
And so they stopped at that point. But yeah, people don't realize the Spectre piece has his arms outstretched, and it's literally, I believe it's 5 feet wide.
Wow.
And that
Gorgeous. Every single one of these is just beautiful.
Yeah, this is all Sal. Sal put this together, this exhibit for up there at the Dunn Museum, and it's phenomenal. I mean, I wasn't able to attend the opening this past, week ago, I think, maybe 2 weeks ago, but it's there for at least 5 months.
Wow.
I mean, unfortunately I'm blanking on what city it's in, but I know it's north of Chicago.
So you guys do have another book that you have at San Diego this year, which is a classic Alex Ross piece.
This is one of the most iconic pieces he ever did.
Yep.
And it is always been the most popular. This is one of the first pieces we did as a matted litho back in 2016, 2017. And I was afraid to do 100 of them. And Sal said, no, let's do 100 of them. And it was like, and we'd sold out like on Friday night.
Wow.
And that was for litho. This is going to be a limited 1,000 comics. So once again, only 900 or so survived once we go through them.
So,
and yeah,
the very first time I ever went to San Diego was because of an Alex Ross piece. I think it was like 97. It was, so I collect Uncle Sam. I love Uncle Sam stuff. And he did his 97 Uncle Sam piece, and I went to get that piece. I framed it. It's beautiful. It's sitting down in my main room. And I would go to San Diego every year because of Alex to get those amazing lithos. And my there's 2 Alex Ross pieces that are my favorite pieces. One is the Uncle Sam where he's, flipping the bird. I think it's like, limited to like 500. It is absolutely fantastic. It's one of my main
It reminds
pieces.
me of the Johnny Cash photo.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other one is a piece that was only in Wizard at the time. And I went and bought probably 10 Wizards just to put away. So I always have one of these pieces right here of the original Kingdom Come lineup. This is such an amazing piece. And to be able to get lithos, high quality prints, even originals if you want from Alex and Alex Ross art is something that I wish more artists would do. That is to me, I would rather, I love comic art. I love comic covers. I love being able to put a comic cover on the wall or a comic on the wall. But I would rather own a really nice, high quality litho, art print, frame it, have it signed, than a comic cover. And I love that Alex does that with Alex Ross art. And
officially licensed.
Officially licensed. You got it.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. The amount of money to spend for licensing is ridiculous.
Oh,
Right. Yeah. I want to ask you an important question that you said, because this happened last year with J. Scott Campbell. One day sellouts of something. Can you explain?
That's where I got the idea. So
yeah. Would you not want to spread that out at San Diego?
I don't know the quantities that Maryland or the Campbell booth brought. So I know they sold a lot. Scott was there, so that helps a little bit too. And that, Alex, the reason you were talking, or I think Bryan was talking earlier, how much Alex produces in a month. The reason he does is he doesn't go to cons. He doesn't like how it interferes with his travel time with, for him, then he's got to get back to the drawing board. He just likes creating. I mean, the universe, I'm going way off topic again, but Universal Monsters and that were one of those things where it was like he said, hey, I want to do that. And I said, okay, let me reach out to Universal and see if I can work out a licensing deal and everything. And then Sal gets a call from Alex on Monday, says, hey, can you come over and take a look at this? And that it rained over the weekend. So he painted Frankenstein, Dracula, and Bride of Frankenstein. I think those are the 3. Yeah.
Wow.
And he couldn't decide whether to keep them black and white or to colorize them. So that's why he had Sal come over. I mean, Alex and Sal are in Chicago. I'm not. So,
Wow.
and it was because it rained that weekend that he painted those. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh shit, I still don't have a license.
Yeah.
I better get this license. Otherwise, Alex is going to be like, what did I paint these 3 paintings for?
Well, I want to say something about that really quick, because that is with all the artists that I've talked to, and with a lot of people in this industry, I've heard the saying that artists should be at home creating art, right? I mean, and get, a lot of these artists have these people in their in their businesses and in their lives, like you, Chris, like Sal, like Marilyn for J. Scott Campbell. Todd has his people. I'm sure Jim has his people. I'm sure a lot of these artists, these big artists, have their people in life that will help them facilitate these parts of the industry while they're at home creating art, which they love to do. That's an important thing.
I mean, I agree. And that's the one thing I learned from Sal early on was branding. We're all about branding. There's so few artists, as much as I love them, there are so few of them that understand the business, the business side of things, that understand how to brand themselves. And that, I mean, some of these artists, you have trouble getting them to do a social media post. That it's like, there's things that can benefit you, and it's so easy to learn, but some of them just want to create.
Yes.
And that Alex is one of those. He has Sal and I.
Yes.
Well, but I got to meet Alex back in the days when he would wander conventions and no one knew who he was. He bought Superpowers figures from me at Windy City Comic Con. I had no idea who he was. And then my partner, Bob, was like, you know who that was, right? And I'm like, who? He goes, that's Alex Ross. And I was like, get the fuck out. Really? Oh, okay. He's gone. And then when he had the Kingdom Come, I guess, what do they call that? That giant thing that had the DVD, and he had a big event over at the Hyatt.
EarthX.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yes.
EarthX. And we got invited with some of the Star Wars actors, and he was like just standing in the middle of all of this, and people would just wander up, like if they recognized who he was, but he still was just this guy. You know,
back in the 90s with Kingdom Come, especially, he was really long hair.
Yeah.
And I remember the one Chicago, I'm walking through the DC booth, and that back when there was a DC booth there. And it's like, and I look up and there's Alex walking right at me. And he's just like, shh. He's like, shh, because he'd cut all his hair in that. So it was like nobody was recognizing him at the time.
Yeah.
And this is post Kingdom Come. So
wow. Well, it was like, I want to talk about Kingdom Come because you just got done going through a amazing amount of work along with Sal to fulfill the Kingdom Come documentary, which was an amazing thing. Talk a little bit about that and what that was like.
So this is something Sal and I talked about. 2017, we were in LA taking a bunch of meetings with, whether it was Hollywood people or licensing people. And one of the things he talked about is he started in the film industry. He went to USC for film industry. And he said he wanted to make documentaries. He was like, why can't we do our own? And then it's from there, it just grew. And then he found an angle that worked. And he thought, doing one about Alex and Kingdom Come and how it affected the industry. So this started, I think they started filming before the pandemic and because of the pandemic, things slowed down. We weren't traveling. It's just been one of these labor of loves that this is all Sal. I helped with some of the legal stuff and I helped with the fulfillment and all this stuff. But this is 1000% Sal's, so to speak, baby. And we're already working on the second one.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. I don't think, to me, there is no greater comic book story, comic book series, miniseries than Kingdom Come. It is #1 at the top with a bell on, man. And I think there's a lot of people that were reading comics at that time that agree with me. That is their series. That is their book. And there was something about Kingdom Come that taught me something about comics and periodical art and creators and artists, that it was the first time I remember where Kingdom Come you could read over and over and over again and always find something new that you've never seen before in the art and the storytelling. Alex is so good about hiding little things in there, little Easter eggs. And I mean, there is a Wizard magazine that I cut out the pages on where they did a little Easter egg hunt, like a 6-page story on all the little things in each panel that I cut out, and I still have in a little folder tucked away in my things to keep, because of how important Kingdom Come was to me and a lot of other comic fans throughout the time. So the documentary, I'm so glad to hear that there's more to come on that.
Oh yeah, and well, not more of Alex. We started filming earlier this year on Bill Sienkiewicz.
Oh, that's even better.
He's been in the industry since 1978.
Yep.
And that, where he,
Hulk magazine.
And it was like he went up to the DC, I think it was DC offices, and then he was sent over to the Marvel offices.
Yep.
Yep. So it was like, this was back when they had, the offices in New York City, and it was just, as much as the bullpen is actually a created fantasy mostly. And that it's still something that sticks in my head from as a kid. You'd always read from the bullpen.
Yes. There needs.
I was
to be
so
more
disappointed the
like
first
that.
time I got to visit the bullpen, and just empty desks, and it was just like, what?
But Bill is like, I've sat with Sal and Bill so many times and listened to some of the stories that Bill would tell from back in the day, and it's just I'm so glad to see that we're now going to capture that, because for somebody who's been in the industry for 40, I hate to say it, almost 50 years.
So what was the first book that Bill let his style loose?
Let his style loose? It was Moon Knight. Not Moon Knight #1.
No.
Moon Knight
22, 20.
Right around there. Yeah. I was trying to remember if it was 18 or 22.
Yeah.
And then as a kid, I still remember walking into a comic book store in Toledo, since there was none in Fremont, and I saw a New Mutants cover, and I was just like, what is this?
Yeah.
It was it was the Demon Bear stuff. And it was just like, and I'm like, I'd never seen anything like this before in my life. And so, they're like I said, they're working on the documentary right now. We're doing actual filming in San Diego this next Friday and Saturday. So we've already got a lot of people lined up that we want to get, their stories about Bill and how he affected them. Because people forget that, how long Bill's been in the industry, how many different, iconic, monumental books that he's worked on.
Yeah.
And plus, he's also worked so much in the advertising industry.
Yeah.
There's so many things that he's the type of guy that can go from abstract to photo real with no problem.
Yeah.
Right.
I always tell people, give him a napkin and a cup of coffee, and he will create art. And that he is one of those geniuses.
Just speaking of that, real quick, Brian, I sent a photo to our group.
Okay.
Comic book shops in Toledo, you say? I'm moving in on Ohio.
Sorry, Dennis is moving into Ohio. Is it open already?
No. We just got the slats and the shelves up.
Well, you need some stock.
It looks like your kids had enough.
The whole back. Yeah, my son is totally done at this point.
Yeah.
No, the whole back room is completely full of inventory. So, yeah, Franklin Park Mall, Chris. I'm moving in.
You're going to be like 35 minutes for me.
I know. We'll have to go have more dinners together.
Yeah.
There you go.
Hey, Chris, I want to ask you something. When you said you've done about 60 exclusives, just so there's a little bit more context there, how many of those 60 exclusives did you have some form of relationship with the publisher, the owner, or part of that company?
Well, that's
or the artist.
Was it a high? That should be a high percentage. Isn't that a high percentage for you?
So I would say it's a very high percentage. I
Yeah.
mean, there's so many. I mean, my first official exclusive, the G.I. Joe, was just a package we put together for the regular Campbell cover, and we had the whole team sign it. But my first true exclusive is Transformers Infiltration #1, and that where Starscream is body slamming Ratchet, the paramedic. And it was just one of those covers I loved working with. I got to work with, so many great people over the years. I mean,
That was Dreamwave, right?
No, that was actually IDW.
Okay.
Dreamwave, I did an exclusive lithograph with.
Okay.
Of what Triptychon versus Devastator.
Got it.
And that I did that. So yeah, so I've done exclusive lithos even too.
Wow.
But yeah, I would say the majority of these have all been a close relationship, like with Aspen. I mean, that's the great thing with Aspen Comics, is that I was able to bring the retailer side of the equation. That, as much as I love Frank, he didn't understand the retailer side. He understood the publishing side. He understood the artist side. But I like that I was able to bring all sides to the equation, so to speak. And I mean, we did so many things. And Frank, I mean, Aspen Comics has done so many things that revolutionized the industry. We were the first people to start doing 13x19 prints.
Yeah.
The big art prints.
Yeah.
We're the first. We were the first. Aspen Comics was the first people to do Marvel exclusive comics.
Yeah.
And that with
Red
Civil
Sonja
War at Wizard World Philly, and that where we had lines running along the whole length of the hall.
Didn't you do like a Red Sonja Spider-Man too?
Yes, we did Spider-Man and Red Sonja 1 and 2.
Yeah.
We did the 1 through 5 regular covers too.
Right.
Of that. But it was like when we did Civil War, that was 2006. So no other publisher or anybody had done exclusive covers. And then that was something that Frank worked into the contract.
Oh, and that was one of the most gorgeous covers too.
Yes.
It was Turner doing basically like an Infinity Gauntlet layout.
Yeah.
It was
Movie
just
style
gorgeous.
poster.
I still have
Yeah.
a couple copies of that.
We sold I could not take the money quick enough when I was at that show. I remember it was like I was, I had to raise my voice. I had to talk over the crowds to keep everybody moving, to make sure people weren't fighting. And then Frank, I'd telling Frank, it's like, we're sold out.
Yeah.
He's like, well, do you got more back home? I'm like, yeah, but today's Friday. If we ship it out today, we got to pay Saturday UPS.
Yeah.
It was like even back then, it was like $200
Right.
some to ship it to the convention center. And it's like, and we shipped like another 200 or 400 copies that we still had at the store.
Yeah. I was just interested because I know out of the 400 plus I've done, it's all been relationships. It wasn't someone I didn't know. I was always partnering up with someone that I was either an ally, a good friend,
Did Jesse
someone
Priest?
I related to.
No, you're good, Jesse.
Yeah. So I was just curious if that's how you kind of did your exclusives.
I'm trying to think. Like there's times when I do exclusives because it's like I see a financial opportunity.
Okay.
But the majority of them that I do over the years have been ones that I've had relationships with.
Okay.
And that it's like, but even I'm trying, like I just did Free for All, which was Patrick Horvath's one shot from Oni, but I did it with one of my customers from my store who used to be a kid who came in here for 20 some years, or 20 some years ago, because he's like, I think he's 30 and he was coming in when he was like 10.
Wow.
Now he works for Marvel, DC. He's had creator and stuff through Image Comics. And I was like, I called him. I said, dude, I want you to do a cover for this book. And I think you can do a really great job with it. And he did an amazing job with it. But I got to work with friends of mine.
Yeah.
And, with Transformers, and we did Transformers, Duke, Cobra Commander, Maria Wolf covers. But that was in conjunction with Big Clutch,
Right.
with Drew from Wanted Comics and JJ from JJ's Comics and Art.
Yeah.
And
Love all those guys.
3 of them were good friends of mine. And it was
Yeah.
like we just teamed up and did some covers together because it was great. So yeah, I do agree with you, Jesse. There's a lot of relationships. Like Clutch and I are talking about a few books for
In
New
the
York.
chat right now.
Yeah. It says
No.
Yo Joe.
Oh,
So,
is he in the chat?
yeah, yeah,
Big clutch.
yeah.
There
So,
he is. Yo.
I don't want to keep you too long because I know you've got a long night of getting ready for the con coming up. But I want to ask.
I'm showing up at 9 a.m. tomorrow.
Yeah, so you're going to be up all night. So I want to ask, for those of the people that are going to the con, where can
Go to Alex Ross Art Booth, 2415 Aspen Comics, 2320, Bills and Kevich, 2614, Rupp's Comics, 1101, and don't go anywhere else.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
I got one more question comment for Chris.
Uh-oh.
So your town, Fremont, Ohio, go check out Rupp's Comics.
1,000 people.
Yeah, 2,000 people, and I think I've eaten at a half of the restaurants in there.
Oh, at least.
When I come down to visit. How insane has it been? You've owned the store now, what, 30 years? 35?
34 years.
35
now.
years. Being the guy in the smallest town in Ohio that brings in Alex Ross, Simone Bianchi, Michael Turner, and having signings out probably you've had signings bigger than the town of Fremont before. Can you just talk about that and what that's like?
So, I mean, the first big signing we did was our G.I. Joe signing, and that was back in 2000. And we had, easily 200 people show up. This was right after 9/11. So none of the guys wanted to fly. So they drove in and that, and it was we did it in October, and, of course, 9/11. And then, so I canceled all their flights. But then we did Pat Lee about a year later for Dreamwave for the Transformers launch.
Yep.
And we had people drive in from Jersey for the Pat Lee signing. And that we're in Ohio. So that's a good 8-9 hours.
Easy. Yeah.
We had a guy who was a Home Depot manager. He drove from when he closed the store that night on Friday night, drove straight to Fremont. And that we had, it was like, 350 people. And that years later, we had Alex Ross in, and we had Michael Turner, and we would get 300 to 500 people to show up. So when I see these signings in LA where they can't even get 50 people,
Right.
I know.
Don't understand.
Yeah.
No.
Well-
Alex Ross, he did Wizard World LA, which was down in Long Beach. And he agreed to do a signing. I forget the name of the store, really nice store. And that no longer there, and I don't know if any of you guys know Eddie Choi, who was at DC.
Yeah.
Eddie comes over to me and says, "Hey, Chris, you think I can get a sketch if I go up to the signing?" And I says, "Alex doesn't do sketches." It's like he's like, "Well, I'm going to go anyways." And that next day he shows up, he's got a sketch. 7 people showed up for the signing.
Wow.
Yeah. I think the one thing with Chris, and this is how I look at Chris. Chris is a young 36 years in the industry. Why? Or with the store. Why? Because he's a pivoting 36.
Yes.
And when you look at these guys in the 40s plus, or even the 30s plus, they're not pivoting at all. So they're an old 36, an old 40. And I think that's the difference.
Yeah. I started in 1991 with a 550 square foot store, no bathroom, barely any heat, barely any
a strip mall right around the corner from where you are now.
No, this is different. This is my 4th location I'm in right now.
Okay, what was the strip mall that little?
I was in the old lawn and garden department of Fisher's Big Wheel.
Okay.
A company that doesn't exist anymore. But that's why there was no bathroom, because it was the lawn and garden department.
Right.
And it was one of those things that was like, I was just never satisfied. It was like, I was always thinking, what if I do this? What if I do, back in 1992. So I opened in 91, but the first full year wasn't until later 92. And Halloween in 1992 fell on a Saturday night. So I said, let's do a witching hour sale, midnight hour sale. And now I've done 33, 34 midnight hour sales in a row, even during the pandemic.
That's awesome.
It was like, wow. It's one of those things that people actually ask about that event.
Yep.
They say, you're going to have your midnight hour sale again this year. Yes, of course I'm going to do it.
Yeah. That's
It's-
very important, man. That is some of the things that creates memories and makes people say, I'm going to make sure I'm there next year. I can say the same thing with Jesse's old free comic book day sales at midnight. People would wait in line to get in there. Like, that's an event that other retailers, if you have the ability to do, figure out ways to get it done. I think that it's talking points. People will say, hey, you need to make sure you make it out to Chris Rupp's warehouse sale or whatever it is, you know. Those are big
I
deals.
would if it wasn't on my birthday.
Which one?
Yeah, which
warehouse
one?
December one.
Yeah,
The
it was
Four
warehouse
last
sale, yeah.
year. I've had 4
Yeah,
sales.
the December one is always on my birthday weekend.
That December one is my anniversary.
I know.
And
How
that
Yeah,
dare you
it's
have your
anniversary.
my warehouse sales, right? I open up
How dare you?
But
You
it's
know-
like one of the things I learned from Sal many years ago. I learned, I mean, he's older than me, so he knows a little bit more than me. And that was really cool. I saw the picture. And but he
All
said,
this G.I. Joe talk.
yeah, he says, always look at 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, where you see yourself.
Yep.
And that it's constantly ask yourself that question. Where do you see yourself in a year? Where do you see yourself in 3 years? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Because unless you're happy with where you're at, that's a whole other thing. It's like, I was never happy with that 550 square foot store because I always knew I could do more. So I was always going to these conventions. I was networking. I was always on that show floor, San Diego Comic-Con, the minute I was allowed on there with an exhibitor pass back in 94, 95. And that I was always talking to all the publishers. I was working out deals. I was shipping boxes back to the store in Ohio. And it was like, I was one of the first stores selling on eBay. And that for 5 or 6 years, I had explained what eBay was and that nobody knew what it was. For over 10 years, I had to explain to my accountant what PayPal was.
Yeah.
That it was like, because they just didn't, because at that time, online banking wasn't a thing. And
No.
that
Yep,
I mean,
that's the
I
pivot.
it is.
learning
It's
to
like
pivot.
you constantly got to look forward, and it's like,
Well,
it's,
and this diamond bankruptcy and all the clowns coming out of the cars on this thing doesn't help our industry look that much more legit.
but the majority of the industry or the majority of the collectors don't know anything about this
Right.
side of the industry.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And they don't care.
Nope.
Right.
They literally they want their comics. They want to enjoy their comics, and that's why. But it's like, that's why when I'm at a convention, I'm talking with Jesse or I'm texting Dennis or that. It's one of those things. We're just talking because we love this industry. We love both the business side and the consumer side.
Yeah.
And
One of the things, real quick, you brought up that pivot. I want to give a big shout out to Collecting with Durs, who is also, been helping you out. And you have this big pivot on these live sales, which has also, that's another example of what we're talking about. So big shout out to Durs, another one of the great content creators and has been, big part of this world. He does a great job. And he does a lot of your live selling too.
Yeah, he does almost all of it now. Where I was doing it all in during the pandemic, and I just didn't have. I had to stop. I remember texting Jesse once. I was like, "Dude, I got to stop. This is June, the month before San Diego. I can't do any of these." And I was never ever able to get back to it because it's like once the pandemic ended, it was back to you got to work.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
So
And there
with
he is in the
Dirk,
chat.
Yeah,
So,
it's like it's been working out really good. He has got a lot of energy, a lot more energy than I do. And and I'm bringing him out to San Diego, so he'll be there. Him and Adam are both coming in Wednesday morning.
awesome.
And he'll be doing live sales from
Is Justin going to be out there?
Jesse. Or
Justin.
Justin. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I was just
Tell him I
talking-
said hi. I'll see him there.
He'll
Well,
be there Wednesday.
Well, I can't wait to see all you guys, including Durs. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I know you got a lot of work. I'm glad you finally made it on the show, which means we're going to bug you even more and more to be here in the future.
Yes. I mean, I have a lot of, like I said, I love talking the industry. I texted Clutch the other day when you guys were doing the stuff about fame, and I'm like, God, I wish I would have been on that show.
Yeah.
And that it's like I'm all for everybody making money, but
Yeah.
There's a limit to that, to what you should be allowed to
Well,
do.
and that's kind of been my sticking point is I don't need to do that. I don't need to steal somebody's IP to make money.
Yep. So, well,
Very
Chris,
cool.
thank you so much, man. We're going to let you get back to work, and we're definitely going to bug you even more to come on in the future. And we'll see you in San Diego. We're all going to be out there. Hopefully, Jesse's going to be out there. The rest of us are going to be out, the whole Beyond Wednesdays crew. So can't wait to see you there.
Yeah.
And thank you
I'll
so much.
give you guys a tour.
Awesome.
There you go.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris.
All
We'll
right,
talk to you
bye.
soon, brother.
Ciao.
All right. That's what we're talking about. Look at that. What a show, man. What a show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's been a show ever since I met him. He's not a I don't think he's ever walked up and said, "Can you believe what those guys are doing over there?" Or, "Man, the show is." He's always been on the go, on the move. This is what I'm doing. This is how I'm then pivot. This is the next step. This is the next con, right? I walked up to MegaCon on a Thursday night. "You're buying my booth, right?" I'm like, "Well, it's Thursday. Why don't you sell some stuff before you're trying to sell me your booth?" I walk up on
I'll
Friday
tell you a
morning.
funny.
All
I'll
right,
tell you a
I
funny
sold some
story.
stuff. Okay, I'll take your booth. But he's always on the move. So
Not last C2E2, but the C2E2 before, I was right across from him and he sold out his booth. And I'm looking over at his booth, the aftermath of him hauling away all of his stuff. And I'm like, that son of a bitch. He left like 10 long boxes sitting over there. Kids, go over and get all those long boxes.
the empties or fulls?
Empties.
Yeah.
Empties.
Oh,
He just throws his empties on the floor. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
So yes, I put those long boxes to good use.
There you go. There you go.
There we go. All right. So we got a couple more minutes here before we end the show. I want to talk about whatever. There's a little bit of news that's kind of come out over the last week. One of them being that I saw today. I want to bring this up. Did you guys see this with Dynamite signing with Simon & Schuster for bookstore comic distribution, which is very interesting. We'll see how this plays out.
Yeah. I didn't
Well,
know
I mean, Simon & Schuster is the #2 book distributor for books in the industry, second only to Penguin Random House.
Yep. So it'll be for worldwide bookstore, library, and Amazon distribution. And it'll keep distributing to comic shops via Lunar, Universal, and Diamond UK. So for everybody wondering about that, this is a big deal right here.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is at some point, Dynamite needs to move forward and let the courts do XYZ. We're moving forward. And no matter what that decision is, we have placed ourselves in the position to be successful. And that's how you should run your business. You can't look backwards, especially at the volume that they do and the demand the consumer has, which is the consumer technically is the retailer, right? Who's filling the other consumer, which is the buyer.
Yeah, this is a good move. Anybody who can put your stuff out there, man.
Yes. Great point.
Yep.
Again, it's like using all those tools in your tool belt. That's important to try and figure out. We love competition. We love being able to sell our product wherever we can, as many places as we can. There was a couple other interesting things I saw. This was from Mr. Longshort. He posted this. He saw this in his local gas station. So we're starting to see more and more of these pop up now. We talked about it last week or the week before. Emmet seeing it, Dennis seeing it, Jesse seeing it. So here more and more people are starting to see these DC comic book stands, which to me is
that a
great.
$2.99 or a $3.99?
$2.99.
Okay, see that's what's going to be. I think that's going to be the Achilles heel of this rollout. Is there's no parity in the pricing. It's literally a product that was $1.25 a year ago, and now I think it's greed.
Well, no, I'm going to disagree there, because here's why I disagree on this. What's the difference of this and the spinner rack? It just looks nicer. It just looks nicer. And this is, I'm telling you, this is co-op opportunities. So I get where you're saying, well, it's getting greedy, but does a consumer that's buying there really know what a comic book goes for?
Well, let me explain. Let me
they're not
explain
still
why
in the
this is
dollar
right
different.
back.
store, though.
Let me explain why I think this is different from the spinny rack. The spinny rack existed. So you have to roll it back a little bit. It was pretty much a pyramid game back then. If you got a national advertiser like Schwinn Bikes to go on the back of the comic book or Hostess Fruit Pies, you had to have a circulation that validated that sales, that ad campaign. We're going to have your Schwinn bike on the back of 2 million comic books in the month of May of 1976.
Right.
Fabulous. Okay. 7-Eleven. We're going to give you a spinny rack full of comic books for every month of 1977. And we're going to give you a Slurpee cup, exclusive Slurpee cup to sell in your stores. And by the way, there's these comic book stops that are coming along also. And we're going to get 100,000 in sales from them every month. Yada, yada, yada. So it was all the vehicle to get the advertising out to the audience. And they sold a comic book along with it. As that shrank and shrank, and as those locations shrank and shrank, and as the market turned into just the retail, this isn't for any other reason than to get the brand of Superman into places that just want to make a buck off of our thing. Because here's the thing, whatever Rebirth, what is that? Teen Titans Rebirth, #1?
Yep.
Or whatever that.
Batman,
Number two,
Scooby-Doo, Penguin, Gotham.
#2 is never coming to that store.
No.
Right. And it shouldn't be, because I don't think that's the goal. What I would be interested in is seeing when that stops saying Superman. And how long does the movie draw this in until they say, okay, we need to put Batman, or we need to put whoever it is, XYZ, to draw more people? Because the one thing that I noticed, the ads, every ad in a DC book and a Marvel book now has QR codes. Yeah, they'll say go shop at your local comic book store on one of the ads, but all the other ads are QR codes. So this is a mechanism not only to co-op, to be an add-on purchase, which is the main focus, is an add-on purchase. If it's to make an extra buck, it's to make an extra buck. But I think you got to reintroduce customers to the comic book world by putting it in places you don't expect it to see.
Right. And I think the dollar stores was a test.
I think the dollar store was an opportunity because of their vast amount of stores.
Right.
Well, we all thought it was a huge opportunity until they didn't follow through on that opportunity to keep it going.
Well, that's why I think it was a test.
And now I agree with Emmet.
Yeah.
That it would have been an opportunity if they ever followed up on it, but they didn't. And now I think it's a kind of a cash grab. Hey, can we get other people to do this stupid thing for us?
Well, yeah. And I think you can use the numbers from Dollar Tree and saying we sold X amount in X amount of locations. And so look, imagine what you can do. I don't know what was the food behind that display?
I think it was junk food.
Yeah, junk food.
Okay,
yeah.
So a high.
It's in the chip aisle.
Candy.
Yeah, it has to be in a high performing area, a high walkthrough area, for that to be successful. So
my convenience store had it directly behind
the beer.
Right. No, it was Monster, but it was right across from the cash register. You couldn't see it away from the picture, but like they really positioned it as a last minute opportunity to get something for the kid,
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, it's kind of like the guy that goes to, it's like the guy that goes to San Diego Con and says, oh my gosh, it's all gaming, it's all anime. Hey, dumbass, why don't you walk over to the comic book section? Right?
But San Diego doesn't really point people to the comic book section at the Comic Con.
No. You kind of get pushed.
You have to figure that out yourself.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's a great idea. Get more exposure, get more items out there. If someone's then make an extra buck out of it, fantastic. I mean, no one's then do it and say, oh, you can't make a penny on this. Right. I think they have to, it has to be fruitful for them. You know, I would be interested in if this is a returnable item for them.
Well, yeah, that's where the rubber meets the road. And that's why I'm saying is those places are not putting those books out at $2.99 and $3.99 because they're buying them at the same 60 cents or 80 cents that Dollar Tree paid for those books.
Right.
Yeah. But I don't think they're returnable because they're not ever there's no next month like we had just talked about, right? Because that you can just leave them there forever.
Well, right, but like Emmet, and Jesse, correct me if I'm wrong on this. When you do a cash wrap insert like that, you're literally putting the product in that store. You're telling them how much you want when it sells. And then that company at the end of a certain trial period pay you that amount. And then they pretty much tell you, throw it all away.
Yeah. This is I don't think there'd be too much returnability on this. I think if the word got out about who had that, someone like myself would be there saying, okay, I'm going to grab everything but one and leave one each on the door, 2 or 3, whatever it is. Don't want to be too greedy there. There's opportunities no matter what. It's how you look at it. But the notion is on that rack, if we can get 1%, just 1% to cross over to buying digital, going to a comic book store, going to a convention, then it works.
I take a 0.5%.
Oh yeah. Here's the thing I want to know is that same ad that was the runner-up prize for the Milk-Bone golden biscuit, thing. Is that somewhere in that magazine? I would guess it is.
It definitely could be. I think where they might not be looking at this correctly is picking partners who can't promote this a little bit better. I think that grocery store, what grocery store was that?
It was
just a gas station.
It looked like
that gas
and
station,
all those kind of things.
Yeah, exactly. Did they put it on their Facebook page, or is it just a stand in the store? And it's like, oh, okay, we got comic books for this month. Let's sell it. Is the cash person rap guy isn't actually pimping out comics, right? It's pimping out ramen soup and chili, whatever the guy's buying. Hey, you want to get a comic book with that? But I think there are great opportunities, and there are going to be pockets, especially if you want to look at something like this and say, oh my gosh, this is in Rapid City. If this is in Nogales, Arizona, then I could see the selling point. If you have it in Glendale, Arizona, where there are 7 comic book stores, might not work out as well. So I think there is a placement factor in that.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
All right. Was there anything else that you guys saw this week?
Yeah. So I want to talk about what Chris brought up about the trying to push the court date away from San Diego Con Week. And when I saw that, it just reminds me how backwards, again, the comic book industry is. No president of the company is going to court that day. They're going to be in San Diego. That can't be your excuse. You have lawyers that are paid to go to court.
Let's just take Nikki Barucci, for instance. The big headline last week was Nikki went to the court and the judge refused to listen to him.
Right, exactly.
A lot of these guys, I mean, not just Nikki, are behind the 8 ball right now. And they feel that they have to get in front of the people that make these decisions right now and say, this is affecting me, Your Honor. I need you to do what you're supposed to do with this bankruptcy. And the last thing we could do is lose $50,000 worth of inventory so these guys can sell it for $5,000 or whatever the numbers are. You know what I'm saying? So this might be the last chance for these people to be heard. So I do understand why they're like, are you kidding me? You're going to put this? I have to try to go make, just like Chris was saying, I have to try to go make deals with other publishers to make my company last the next year, but I also can't lose the last 6 months because this company went out of bankruptcy and these guys don't give a shit about it.
I want to talk about, something that we didn't get a chance to talk about. Sorry. So this is a recent message or email that has been going around, making the rounds, that I found very interesting. And it brings up the whole thing with what's going on in the courts right now. And we've talked about this, that, some of us feel that over the past couple months that we think that there's something going on here that smells rotten. There's some type of fuckery going on. And there is a email that's making the rounds that from Dynamite Entertainment, and I'm just going to read it. And it says, notice to all publishers and vendors who distributed products through Diamond. Diamond or its successor entities have publicly moved to sell inventory currently in its warehouses without publishers' consent. Several publishers are pooling their resources together to challenge these proposed sale procedures for this inventory. If you represent a company with the inventory currently warehoused with Diamond or its successors' entities and would like to learn more, please reach out to the following publishers who are helping it to put together our group of vendors. And it's got Eric Reynolds at Fantagraphics, Peggy Burns at Drawn and Quarterly, Nick Barucci at Dynamite. It says the response must be filed with the Maryland Bankruptcy Court by July 16th, which is tomorrow. Please. Right. So this is again, here we go. We're starting to see it. People are starting to realize this in the industry and be public about it. Hey, there is something going on here that we don't like, and we want more information about it. And we need to gather, again, we need to lean on each other. We need to work together and fix this, because all of our product, all of our industry is being taken advantage here.
Right. Yep. Now, I agree with that statement, but you also have to understand the legalities of everything. So Dennis was talking about Nikki going up there and all that. You can't, if you're an LLC, you have to, by law, you cannot represent your company. You have to be represented by a lawyer. So if you go to court expecting to speak to the judge, he's going to say, who's your lawyer? That sucks, but that's the law. Knowing legalities is very important. Now, I wish someone had called someone and said, how do I write this outreach letter? Because here's where the wording is wrong. It's not product. It's not inventory. You're missing the number one word in that statement. It's consignment. We are here to get our consignment product back, not inventory, not product, our consignment item.
Right. But at this moment in time, it baffles my mind that this judge, and like I said, we've been explaining this for now 6 months.
Yeah.
We've been explaining this inventory cycle, and I don't think AE&T understood what they were looking at. I think, and I think other people thought, hey, I'm going to get this and break it apart and sell it and blah, blah, blah. And I think a lot, like Chris said, a lot of people tried and were told, no, there's no way for you to do this. You're not going to just come and pick up your stuff, And at this point, I don't know that the judge understands what is going on here. Or he would say, wait a second, Judge Judy would figure this out. Do you have stuff in his garage? Yeah. Are you letting him get his stuff out of your garage? No. Okay, let him have your shit out of the garage. Case closed.
Right. Yeah, but I think if this is what I don't understand. When you file bankruptcy, you have to show your assets.
Yeah.
So there had to be an asset list there. This is what I think they did it as. And again, we're just chatting here.
Spitball.
Yeah. Don't hold me to them when I say this. They said we have 1 million comics in the warehouse worth $2 each. They didn't say we have 300,000 Dynamite, 200,000 XYZ, and they gave them a number without a publisher name attached to it, and that is what's then caused all the friction in the
they also probably didn't say, and we own none of them.
Right.
That these are all consignment.
Yeah, this is consignment.
Because
right.
we've went through all of these legal documents. That first document said we owe $39 million to these people. These people owe us $33 million. We need to seek Chapter 11 bankruptcy to get out from under this problem. And that's where it all snowballed from there. And then we found out that, okay, well, maybe also this person owes them this money and that person owes them this money and we owe this person more money, but all of it comes from that first listing, which didn't list, we own Free Comic Book Day and we value that at $5 million. We own the POS system and we believe Comic Suite and we believe that's worth $1 million. We own Comic Shop Locator and we think that's worth $1 million. They didn't list those assets. They just said, by the way, Alliance is Diamond Games is worth $40 million and everything else is just junk added on extra.
Yeah, and if you kind of go backwards a little bit in pre-bankruptcy, the notion that in their mind they already had bidders.
Yeah.
So to forego the monthly reports, which no other company would get past that.
No.
It would be at default, judgment, done.
Yep.
This was a very... Oh, go ahead, Jesse.
Yeah, and so this is very, very interesting. Go ahead, Brian, and then I can explain it.
Yeah, so this we're starting to, we knew this was going to happen once we got the playing chicken with idiots information. We were starting to get more of the transcriptions from the hearings, the original hearings, and this right here was very interesting. This was transcriptions from the bankruptcy hearings, where A&T was talking to the judge in the court and feeling that, quote unquote, the fix was definitely in on the bankruptcy option. So it says here, so the A&T lawyers had this to say during a hearing on April 2nd, 2025, quote, "You might be surprised, or maybe you won't be surprised to learn that we disagree that the process worked. There's an important timeline concerning the auction process that has not been disclosed or revealed to the court to date. The stated purpose of any bankruptcy option, as your honor is well aware, is to create a level playing field for us qualified bidders to bid on the assets for sale. And that did not happen in this case. Instead of calling the various qualified bidders to auction last week to put their best foot forward and conclusively identify the highest and best bid for these assets, the debtors treated the auction as a jumping off point to identify the two high bidders and then to conduct negotiations privately outside the purview of the other bidders off the record in order to attempt to improve the bids." That's a big deal.
Yeah. So basically what's happening here is what they're saying is they are asking for the bids from Universal and ReedPop when those bids came in and how much did they bid. And that was not given at any time during this bankruptcy till the very end. Because look at how much money A&T actually put in on top of it after they saw the bidding.
Yeah, so to continue, my client, the successful bidder at the auction, acquiesced to the debtor's various demands and improved its offer, which was the high offer at the auction, by more than $14 million total consideration. Of the 5 buckets of categories disputed, disputes in the asset purchase agreement that Mr. Minuti spoke about, initially, my client agreed to all 4 of those as the debtors had demanded. Late in the day or late in the week this week, we acquiesced to the 5th demand. So we had met all of the requirements of their subsequent bidding that they put in our way. Basically saying we did everything we were asked for and we put out more money. The same thing that we were saying when this was all going down and we found out that ReedPop / Universal had put in a lesser bid and was going to win this thing. It is just crazy. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I think in the end, I think in the end, this is what I truly believe. AENT will come out being a better business from this. They'll make better decisions. They are doing things in a great, vast way in repositioning themselves in the business they choose to move forward in. I think AdPop at some point will stop using that Cubic company as an excuse, because they won't be able to have that excuse anymore.
Yeah.
And that's, I kind of think, where we're at.
Yeah, I'm going to finish this off real quick. The problem, however, was during the auction, which I'll talk about in a second. And since the auction, the debtors have refused to engage with Alliance on any meaningful level starting the day after the auction, when we are expected to deliver an asset purchase agreement that reflected the results of the auction, which we did. Which we did not receive a single response for days. In fact, we received our first response to that evening before the last hearing, which is when it became clear that the debtors were going to need to come here to court and ask Your Honor to adjourn that hearing till today. We have now turned several versions of that asset purchase agreement, all in response to the debtors' demands. There is not a single demand that the debtors made since that auction that we have not met in the asset purchase agreement. The last asset purchase... Go ahead.
Can I just pause you for a second, Brian?
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing here is, I don't think that Universal and Sparkle Pop had the money to even bid on what they bid, and they thought they were just going to get it turned over to them for the promise of it. And that's what I think AENT is saying here, is like, look, we showed you we had the money. These guys kept getting propped up, and we waited time and time again for them to even show us that they had the money.
Yeah. The last asset purchase...
Am I wrong on that, Jesse?
No, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
But hold on, let me just pause. And if that's true, when AENT pulled out of this deal and AENT said, fine, have it, that might be why these publishers have not been paid yet, because the check never arrived because they don't have the money.
Wow.
Well, no, that would not happen. So that when the auction ends, you do have to pay, and if you don't pay, it goes back into the open again. Anybody else can bid on it.
But because of all the extra extensions on this thing, the back and forth countersuits and suits, that freezes the need to have that check cashed, because that has to be reconciled on the stack.
And it gave them time to get the money.
Yeah, that's a speculation. That's just me. That's a speculation.
Let me continue.
That makes more sense than the bank and the judge having that $50 million check and not giving it to Image and Dynamite and all these other people.
But you have to qualify to bid. If you read the Brian read at the top, you do have to qualify to bid. So they could not accept that $49 million bid unless they qualified and prove that they qualified.
Well, this is the interesting thing. It says the last asset purchase agreement that we sent to them yesterday late afternoon or early evening acquiesced to the fifth disputed item precisely as the debtor had insisted that we do. And the response to that simply was a terse email that says, we're still going to proceed with the backup bidder. It's crazy, man. A backup bidder who has not produced an asset purchase agreement, who was combined with the other party as part of the backup bidder at the auction, unbeknownst to anybody participating in the auction. When the parties walked into the room, it was simply announced that these two were now bidding together as a team against the other bidders. Notwithstanding that, my client still submitted the highest and best bid, as I don't think anybody in this courtroom would refute. And as of the notice of successful successful bidder filed on the docket would reflect. Our bid as it stands as of last night, which we still have not received a response to other than to say that they're continuing to proceed with a closing to the backup bidder, remains the highest and best offer. We have an asset purchase agreement that is ready to go. My client, the chairman of my client, is sitting in the courtroom, ready and willing to be able to testify as to any aspect of the sale process, any aspect of his company, his financial wherewithal to close, etc., to satisfy the court of its ability and desire to close. Alliance remains today ready, willing, and able to close next week on April 10th, which was the date set forth in the stalking horse bid for the outside closing date, which the debtors insisted all of the bidders meet in their competing bids. Our bid at the auction has improved by virtue of these off-the-record post-auction bidding from 71 million net to 81 million. There's no indication on the record or otherwise that the backup bidder's offer has improved that. In addition to that, there is no information since the auction available to anybody, included the court. But at the auction, and it's off the record, on the record, at the record of the auction, the two backup bidders were contingent of if one bidder didn't close, then the other bidder had the right, but not the obligation to purchase that non-closing bidder's assets. But there would be a result where one of the two bidders fails to close, and having seen no APA, there wasn't one in the auction, there wasn't one after the auction. Mr. Minuti just confirmed for the court that they don't have one today, and they're ready to show anybody that risk is significant to this bankruptcy estate. And my client is sitting here ready, willing, and able to pay total consideration greater than $81 million to close this thing on April 10th. That's crazy.
Yeah. I think I would be interesting if there was a rebuttal to that. And I guarantee you there isn't.
Well, this was the final thing that to me is crazy. So they said, I think we will show your honor that if you've heard the expression the fix was in, the fix was definitely in on this auction. And the result is unfair. It's unfair to the creditors of this estate. It's certainly unfair to all the parties that showed up to bid in good faith and who were met with a cold shoulder from virtually every professional on the debtor's side.
Yeah.
So, but Brian, that was 3 months ago. That was April 10th.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
That was after Bruce came on our show.
Yep.
That was after this, that, and the other thing. And we heard, all these different things. That was a week or two before AE&T just completely pulled the ripcord and said, we're done.
Yep.
And then the wheels went moving. And I'm not casting dispersions on a judge because God only knows.
Big Remo, I think, said it. Big Remo says, upon further review, nobody wants to pay some bullshit that ain't worth it.
Yep.
Yeah. But the thing is the judge, if you can buy off the bankruptcy court to overlook the high bidder versus the secondary bidder, if you can overlook the trustee not doing his due diligence and and making Diamond give their monthly reports, which we've talked about ad nauseum. And, and now you're sitting there looking at like Nicky Brucci can't get a court date to get his inventory or get his money.
Or to speak what he needs to say.
Right.
Like,
so, well, yeah, I mean, I agree with Jesse on that. Once you have a lawyer and an LLC, your lawyer speaks for you. But your lawyer can also say, Your Honor, my client has something that he thinks is pertinent to this court. But if the judge will hear that, then maybe the fix is in on every level.
Yeah. What real estate did Diamond own?
I'd have to really.
I think they own that warehouse in Olive Branch.
Yeah, they own that. They own the Olive Branch.
Yes, they bought. I don't know that they own the land.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to figure out if they own.
But they definitely built that warehouse from scratch. All the stuff inside of that they bought and put in place.
Yeah.
So they own. It's like a trailer park situation. you own the trailer,
Yeah.
but you have to pay the rent fee every month to have your trailer sit on that lot.
No, yeah, I get that. Well, then that's not a very good asset. I mean,
no, but that's how those factory, communities work. Those I forget what they call them.
Yeah, because I know up here, when they do own them, and other big
industrial parks.
Things, yeah. That up here, the land, if you've got a property, it's well in excess of $50 million if it's any kind of sizable warehouse.
Oh, that warehouse is a monster. I want to say it's 100.
Yeah.
Because I remember them talking about this, just the fan alone cost them several $100,000 to put in.
Yeah. Yeah. I think at the end of the day, what AENT needs to do is, like I said, with Dynamite, okay, move forward. You got your 7 big guns from that X company over at your place. What are you then do with them? Their outreach with me has been amazing. And I'm sure that's with a lot of people. But at the end of the day, I think when you do a rebuttal like this to the judge, you're basically saying, listen, the second you say the fix was in, you're walking away. You're done. All right. Because you're basically saying something about that judge. You're basically saying something about the trustee. Hey, the fix was in. We came to your state, your court, and we're walking away with nothing. AENT is now owe so much in lawyer fees, plus their deposit.
Yep.
And everything that they had planned. So I think the most important thing is how Lunar, how Penguin, how Massive, how Filbo, how Panelfly. How are you going to get books to the comic book stores? How are the comic book stores then get those to the consumer comfortably? And I think that's kind of where we're at now. As this becomes an older story, we'll see.
But this goes back to 2 months ago when I said, who the fuck is going to step up and help run and help guide this industry? And none of those guys you listed are doing it. And that's why we had the first guest on tonight, because Reed actually looks like they're trying to do something.
Yeah.
Right.
But I haven't heard, I haven't heard that, Lunar or Penguin or any of these other guys have the cachet to do something giant at San Diego yet.
Well, I think 2 of them don't need to at this point, because they already got the retailers and they might feel comfortable, and they might not have the budgets to do what NYCC is doing itself within its own premises. That's the difference.
Yeah. You guys, we are at 3 hours tonight. We're going to skip pickups this week.
Oh no!
I got
pickups.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's get the pickup.
My pickup.
I'm outruling you.
All right.
Cobra.
Let's go.
So here's my pickup. I was so excited about this. I got this great Monopoly thing, and I thought it was an error because the city says instead of Pennsylvania Avenue, it says Pentonville Road and Houston Road.
But look at the word under the word Monopoly. It
is the UK version of Monopoly.
Oh wow!
So and I got the I don't know where I put the box. Oh, here it is. So I got the original box. There's the original box. Very, very cool. Came out in the 80s. Very cool there. And then I got 2 more items. I picked up this Star Wars read-along.
Oh, yeah.
With the cassette tape still sealed and all that. Actually, I got this. If you're a Minnesota Twins fan, the mascot is JC something or TC something. I forgot what the mascot's name is. But 1 year in 1980, their mascot was called Twinkie the Loon. That is signed by a Twinkie. And I'm pretty sure I know why it only.
I think that was an auto pen.
Yeah,
it was an auto pen.
And then the other thing I got, which is very hard to get right now, which I didn't know was this hard because they're selling for quite a bit right now, is Inside Image 119.
That's cool.
It's becoming a very, very hot book. Last one sold for $100. So if you're seeing those, you should see a lot of those. Pick those up. That's my pickups.
Comics interview. All right, Dennis.
Yep.
I already picked it up. Giant Cobra Rattler. I'll be playing with that the second I get off this show.
All right.
Every day I have it sitting on my dining room table, and just every day I walk past it, I push the button and I roll it around, and I'm like, I'm a happy kid again.
All right, Emmet.
All right, so I hope that we don't get the glare. So this came in a oh, come on.
Turn it to the side. There you go.
This came in a collection today. It is the 20th anniversary of the Tick, and it's a
very cool
cover. And it looks like a sketch, but I seen other ones for sale, so I'm sure it was just a limited cover. Then of course, you could always pick up the Heroes for Hire.
That's the infamous Tucci cover.
Yeah. And then I got a bunch of the Miles first solo. Doesn't have number 1, but it's 2 through 6. And then the one thing I wanted to bring up to you guys, if you don't know, or because I didn't know when they came to me, have you ever seen kimchi DVDs? This one is, I think this one's a kimchi. They come from Korea, and I sold Constantine. The guy brought me 3 Constantine, same movie, just different covers. One was a glow in the dark, and 2 other were like.
It looks like they're just steel books from other countries.
They are steel books.
Yeah.
I got $675 for the 3 Constantines.
Wow.
Holy shit.
Yeah, they are bombs. When you find these, one is Mata Labs, and the other one is Kimchi. And if you find these steel books, they are an F ton of money.
Wow. And they're in Korean.
They are in English. The writing on the back and down at the bottom are in Korean, but the movies are in English.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Before we leave tonight, I do want to break Jesse's heart a little bit, but I want to send out some positive thoughts and prayers to Jesse. One of the biggest mainstays about going into Jesse James Comics for many years was 3 amazing animals. One that you guys know very well, Hobbs the cat, but 2 of my favorite, and that is Lucy and Millie. Lucy was a mother to Millie. Jesse had to put Millie down about a year ago, I think, Jesse. And yesterday, Jesse had to put down Lucy. And much love to Jesse and Shannon for what they're going through. And it's terrible to have to put down your dog. So positive thoughts and prayers out to Jesse and Shannon, and much love to everybody out there that has ever had to put down a loved pet like Jesse has to recently. So that being said,
you've gone through it as well.
Yeah. We'll see you guys not next week, but the following week after San Diego. Much love. Adios.